We here, baby. What's up, man? Hotep Con 2022. Second annual. It's up.
Who's going to court? Hotep. Where's she at? Did you tell her to come to passenger pickup?
It's lit. Kim, it's Hotep Jesus. We'll be back.
Yeah, we were just talking about that today.
Got the balloons.
No, we really flew Spirit Airlines. Who flies Spirit Airlines? On purpose. Who does that? You never catch me.
I've seen it now.
Yo, I ain't never flying right there again. Jump seats. Every seat was
Did I tell you about that?
Every seat was a jump seat. That hurt.
Frontier's like
Wow.
it's just a glorified spirit.
Didn't I just tell y'all they be having them jump seats, yo? That's what they call jump seats.
The entire plane jump seat.
Yes.
Nothing but exclusive play.
You got nothing but cameras.
You?
Everybody's from Montreal. We used to play that. That was a classic.
That was a classic?
Yeah, from Pennsylvania.
That was a classic.
Was it?
That shit came out.
NIE.
Yeah.
No, because it was the one, something that was
Yeah,
one that
it had
was.
Super Thug.
Yeah, Super Thug.
Yeah, the one with
It
Big
had the
Pun on
one,
it.
yeah, the one with Pun on it. That was a classic.
That was
That
the
was a
hardest
good
song in
album.
the album.
Orange.
Orange with the orange drink.
Orange drink.
I'm hearing some orange drink. I can't hear you that.
Oh, no. We doing bad out here, people.
The hot, yeah.
We doing
Hot
bad out
spicy or
here.
the hot?
No, that's spicy.
They gonna go on the internet, they gonna say these niggas is some fake Hoteps. They not following Dr. Sebi diet. This nigga just ordered a chicken sandwich. Cannon just ordered a Big Mac.
You know, this nigga just ordered sawdust with salt on it.
Hey yo, Brody, turn mine into another one.
And then
No pickles on my Big Mac.
Pause.
you seen the show Hotep's Been Told You? All right, look it up right now on your phone while I'm waiting for my food. Hotep Jesus right there. So tell other crew you just waited on. You guys can use these for Hotep Been Told You, or we could do this high tops like we did.
Oh baby, it's so lit. It's so lit. You got our wonderful Lady Hotep's here. Trish. This is just such a wonderful guy.
Exactly.
Shit with the professional. This one is sponsored.
Nice.
Yeah. He brought the bandage over, so I'm gonna. Welcome. Got two of my boys here with me. I'm in heaven right now. Move that table over to the left a little bit. Okay. You see him finesse a little white girl out of a new, a fresh cup of coffee and Hotep Jesus. And y'all know him, y'all love him. The Paul Purveyor himself. Uncle Hotep, get your ass out here. Thank you, Ken. Everybody, tell us Ken Hotep.
We go in for real and ain't got no chill. Teach me how to grip. 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 Hotep and build, y'all know the deal. We go in for real and ain't got no chill. Teach me how to grip. 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 Save the date if you not.
What's up, people? We back.
That Hotep Jesus dude.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
Hotep Jesus? I love that guy. He's terrific.
It's a grifty Monday. Happy Monday. Fabulous week we're starting out with here today. Lots of grift in the grift bag. Welcome to the Grift Report. We're live Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. However, this week I will be away Thursday and Friday. I will try my best to get some behind-the-scenes content in Miami for the members of the channel. Shout out to all the members of the channel. I appreciate y'all. See y'all in the chat. Shout out to K, Haram Life. I see you. Montoya, I see you. Reaction PR in the chat. What up, man? Steph, what up? Steph Colonel in the chat. Oh, man. So, yeah, I'll be down in Miami. I'll probably link up with the Syscoin team. I fucks with the Syscoin team heavy. Really like what they're doing over there. Super genius Jag. Super creative genius in Patrick. Alex, really great at biz dev. Really appreciate the team over there at Syscoin. If you ain't got no Syscoin in your wallet, get your life together.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
Rudy the Vet Russo was in the chat. In case you're not familiar with the format, this is the Grift Report, where I grab various topics about the Grift bag and then weigh in on them. And after I'm done weighing in on them, which lasts about maybe an hour or so, we go into the phone calls and the callers call in. Sometimes we agree, sometimes we disagree. But if you like some extended entertainment, stick around for the callers at the end. We got a mixed bag. Actually, we have a little bit of a mixed bag of grift today, but it's mostly a lot of like white people stuff. This is like a lot of today. The title is The White Grift. So we got some white stuff going on in there, but first we're going to start off with a little bit of big brain stuff. Usually we have the big brain stuff at the end, but I saw something fascinating that I wanted to use to get warmed up today. I have a tweet here from Dr. John Deloney, or Delani, not sure how to pronounce that. Thank you for the super chat. We'll get to the super chats at the end. I'm tired of being quiet on this issue. I will be silent no more. I got 2 PhDs in education-related fields. I've spent my career as a high school, K-5, and university teacher. I've served at large public schools and small private schools. I've worked with exceptional minds, behavioral challenges, and students with special needs and learning exceptionalities. I've been there, in the trenches, and I'm sick to death of stupid, standardized test scores killing our children's desire to learn. We're killing their creativity, their literacy, their empathy, and their ability to connect with adult relationships. We have sent them running to their screens We have lost a generation of kids by testing them nearly to death. I can't stand by and watch another generation burn, but both private and public schools. Stop the obsession with technology initiatives. Put the money back into good teachers and sound pedagogy. Stop the obsession with drill and kill testing. Stop doping up kids who can't or won't stay confined in their little cages. Let kids move and breathe and laugh and talk and explore. Stop the catastrophic loss of PE and movement, trades, theater, music, reading hard literature, and art in schools. All things that make life worth living. Stop the assault on actual learning. I'll be silent no more. Our kids at stake. Deloney. I really love this tweet because as I began to homeschool this year, I started, out like testing the kids. And then I just realized I started to question, right? Because when you pull them out of school and you do things as school would do it, it's sort of redundant. It does, it doesn't make sense. Like you pulled them out of school to do things differently. So I fell back from the testing and was just like, there's probably something more important to do here when we're educating students. So I started focusing more on, skill building. What is it that they're able to do? How well do they comprehend material when we're reading? So it's like, instead of, doing like some sort of standardized test at the end of the week, et cetera, it's more about, hey, let's read from this book. And as we're reading, ask you questions along the way, just to keep the mind engaged and thinking, developing critical thinking skills. So this is something, that I've adopted in my own curriculum. If you guys are not familiar, Hotep Nation is a nonprofit organization. And basically what we do is we support the homeschooling community. In fact, today I did send some funds to sponsor a family to basically we work partner with Home Hacker Camp. And they teach coding and robotics, mostly to conservative families. And although don't quote me on that, that part about conservative families. But because of the area they live in, many of the families happen to be conservative. And we sponsored a family today, mostly families who can't afford to get their children this extra education. We cover that. So shout out to all our donors making that stuff happen. And I sent some funds out this morning via PayPal. And another family is going to be able to get their child exposed to technology. So in case you guys didn't know that about us, that's the truth. And we really think about education deeply and take it seriously. Let's go back in the grift bag. I just wanted to touch on that really fast before we get into the grift. All right, let's go here. We got friend of the fam, Owen Shroyer, down at the border. Let's take a look.
They have dozens, if not hundreds, of these buses all throughout El Paso, all throughout Texas, taking illegal immigrants everywhere. And it's more important to protect the illegal immigrants and drive this bus through a ravine across the border so they can get them on without the American media seeing them. And this bus is going to take them somewhere deep in the heart of Texas, drop them off. But Border Patrol tells us the border's secure, nobody's crossing, nobody's coming in illegally, as it happens right in front of our face.
Move back. Move back. Move back. Thank you.
Yeah, get out of the way, Americans. There's illegals coming in. Get out of the way, dirty Americans. We got non-citizens we got to help. You dirty, stinking Americans. This isn't your country. Get out of the way. I'm so glad that we're making sure that the media can't see Biden's border invasion. They drive 30-foot buses through ravines so the media can't see Biden's border invasion, and they send border agents out here telling us it's not happening.
That's all I want you to go over there. Okay.
So are they going to block our cameras too? Yeah, make sure we can't see it. Very nice. Make sure nobody can see Biden's border invasion. Make sure nobody can see the illegal immigrants. You dirty, stinking Americans.
I'm sorry.
Your country gets away. Yeah, you dirty Americans. Get out of the way. This is the illegal immigrants' country. What do you guys think you're doing? This country's for illegal immigrants. You guys are dirty Americans. Get out of the way. How rude of you. How rude of you to think you have a country anymore. Hey, let's get another truck up here so no media can see this. In fact, let's just ban the media. Hey, guys, we're going to need you to shut your cameras off. We cannot document Biden's border invasion, okay? Everybody shut your cameras down. No free speech. The Border Patrol's here to tell me to shut up, too. Sir, he says, an American citizen. An American citizen. Unbelievable. This is an attack on the country, folks. That's what this is. If you can't see it, you're oblivious. And we sit here and film it and take this from our government. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. But hey, don't worry.
This is from Band.Video, a.k.a. InfoWars.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
Shout out to Alex Jones.
They'll get taken care of. They'll get food. They'll get clothes. They'll get everything they need. You dirty Americans need to shut up and get out of the way. Look at this. They get protected. They get protected with guns, but the Democrats want to take guns from you. So guns to protect the illegal immigrants, but y'all aren't allowed to have guns when the Democrats ban all your assault weapons. This is just ludicrous, man. This is a clown world that I live in. What a joke.
You gotta move back.
Get out of the way, you dirty Americans. This isn't your country anymore.
Operation.
Law enforcement, open border law enforcement here. This is what you get when incompetent clowns run your country. And you're not going to shut me up. I'm an American citizen. I have a First Amendment right. It's time we start acting like Americans. This is ridiculous. And you know what? I guarantee you they all agree with me. I guarantee you they all agree with me. But their leaders are too cowardly to do the right thing. Yeah, get that Border Patrol truck in the way. Make sure nobody can see it. Unbelievable. You guys like this? You guys like Biden's America? The same Border Patrol agent that tried to shut me up said there was no illegal immigrants coming in just 20 minutes ago.
Okay, this is Alex Jones' protege, man. He's next up.
This is amazing stuff right here, isn't it? Let's all just accept the state of our country. Make sure the illegal immigrants get better protection and more rights than everybody here. Unbelievable stuff. And look, hey, no one else complains. You know, it's always got to be me. No, everybody else loves being told that they don't have any rights and they have to pay for all of it. They just love being lied to. They love being treated like a bitch by their government. It's just beautiful stuff. Welfare state, open border, great stuff.
So that's Owen Shroyer. Now, the reason why I played that is I wanted to set this up. Put it in your screen shortly here. Hold on. Actually, let me play the clip. Let me see if I can find the clip because I actually didn't save the clip. I just oh shit, I spelled that wrong. Let's pull up this clip from Chicago. Looks like we got a couple of clips here. Let's pull this up. So here we have a tweet says they will overrun Chicago, make life difficult for black people in Chicago, illegal immigrants on their way. New York, Los Angeles, white folks do not take illegal immigrants in their neighborhoods. And you can see here rows of immigrants. This looks allegedly Chicago. I cannot confirm that. Let's go to the tape, see what the residents are saying in Chicago.
All these resources that have not come to us, now you want to overly compensate for people who never lived here before, and we need to be taken care of first and foremost before anything else happens here.
Why would any leader put our black communities already riddled with crime at further risk by placing unvetted non-taxpayers steps away from our seniors, our children, and our homes we've worked so hard on our own to secure?
We are at war, people. Our communities are at war. They are violating our communities, and we asking that we across the country, and we asking and we're demanding for office of Black America, or whatever you want to call it, to deal with issues like this.
That's right.
I did get placed on a wait list, but I was told that the immigrants were taking priority. See, that's a story that a lot.
He was placed on a wait list, but the immigrants had a priority. Savage.
A lot of people don't know, and it hurt me. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I understand we need to be humanitarian, but these people are, that my participants are third and fourth generation Chicagoans, born, bred, fed, and raised here. My grandmother, Mayrella Carrington, rest in peace, always said, Craig, charity starts at home first, and then it go abroad.
Politically, having over 500 people in our community would completely wipe out any interest we have.
That was a bar he said from his grandma. He said charity starts at home first and then goes abroad. I wish our government treated us that way. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the state of many of our cities, especially our impoverished areas, and look at the budget that was sent over to Ukraine. Comparison, we got to worry about home first. Let's go back.
Many of these migrants have been dumped in our neighborhoods without a plan in place to monitor and house them long term.
I'm not selling nothing. And I keep telling people, you don't have to move. If you sell, they going to come in. If we don't sell, we got to stand strong and go. That's right.
So we have the Chicago citizens are absolutely floored by the amount of illegal immigrants coming in and the preferential treatment they're given. So obviously when that clip hit, the internets had something to say, and we're going to show you that. We're going to do a side-by-side comparison here. So we have one of these accounts, one of these real grifty accounts, End Wokeness. It says South Shore, Chicago voted for Joe Biden in 2020 by a whopping 97%. This is how residents are reacting to 250 to 500 migrants coming to their area. Sonny Johnson responded to this tweet and called it anti-black. Let's look at how Scott Adams responds to it. Scott Adams says future Republicans. So I posed a question and I asked, same video, two different ways to frame it. Which one is more productive? Now, the majority of people have said that Scott's response to this was more productive. Some people chose to be in the middle and some chose to, stay on the statist side of things, or Sonny Johnson will call anti-black. I really don't want to speak on the anti-black part. I really just want to speak on the messaging part of this and really dissect this live, the messaging here. So, South Shore Chicago voted for Joe Biden in 2020 by a whopping 97%. Now, it's the insinuation here, or the message that's implied here is that these people asked for this, right? And I'm sure there are some very great arguments to be made to corroborate that claim. And honestly, I really don't want to refute it. But really, the issue here is optics and messaging. And we've been speaking about a lot about this recently, optics and messaging, and how important that is going into the election year. But the grift accounts don't care about optics and messaging. They only care about themselves and their engagement. And they have pretty much, I would say, a low critical thinking following. People who just made it to Twitter over the past 2 years. Johnny come lately. And they're going to hit retweet on this and go, yeah, these people voted for that. That's what they get. And really, that's not the correct messaging. Scott Adams is probably closer to the correct messaging, right? And, this is an opportunity to create allies. But instead, this tweet here chose alienation. This tweet here chose alienation, and there's a lot of people that took this same approach. Many of the conservative or so-called conservative or Con Inc. or right-wing grifters chose to have this messaging and say, hey, you know, these people voted for this. This is what they get. And again, I understand that take. However, it's not very productive. This is an opportunity to gain allies. And really, what's funny is the messaging that we saw in this video from these Chicagoans sounds a lot like the conservative message. It sounds a lot like what people in Texas are saying and other cities across the nation are complaining about when they have the invasion of these illegal immigrants coming in. My brain just did the split again, where I have two thoughts at the same time. Which way to go, Hotep Jesus? All right, let's go to that split that came in my head, which is contradictory to what I said before about the vote, right? I said I didn't really want to talk about it, and then my brain said, yes, you are. You're going to talk about it, so I guess we're going to talk about it. So, did they vote? Let's assume these people voted for Biden. Biden failed them. And if we're going to acknowledge that, I think the correct messaging is, let's send these people some help. Joe Biden has failed them. Look at this group of people the Democrats have failed. Like, that's the messaging. Instead of putting, and I said this in my Pearly Things video, where she said, you know, these people, when we were talking about reparations, right? And you know, she was saying, well, you know, these people voted for Democrats. And I made the counter argument that said, well, if I hire you to paint my house, shout out to Strong Dag Protocol, if I hire you to paint my house and you fail at this job, I should be able to sue you, AKA reparations. And I told her that the correct messaging for reparations is a lawsuit against the Democratic Party because, well, that's who people have been voting for. So when people vote for Joe Biden, and I got that Y split just happened in my head again. So actually, I'll come back to that. So when people vote for Joe Biden, you know, they have decided that you know, they hired them for a job which they failed at. So what do we do about that? Right? These people obviously don't care about the black community. And then some people have said, well, they voted for this. Well, the truth of the matter is many people are single issue voters. So especially when we look at a contingent like this with a whole bunch of older folks, they probably voted for healthcare. Not that was a good idea, but they were probably looking at, you know, who is talking my talking points, like healthcare, whatever. And these people probably have no idea about the border. They probably have no idea where Democrats stand at the border. And I think what happens is people on Twitter don't realize the privilege they have of being in these Twitter communities where you have access to this information first. You're right on the pulse of the nation. Whereas many of these folks that you see here don't have a Twitter account. Information is being hidden from them, especially when you're on these different platforms like Facebook or Meta, et cetera, Instagram, which is very popular in these communities. The algorithm's hiding things from them. So they don't even get access to some of this information because the algorithm will downrank, you know, a lot of this information that would actually make it to them. And to be honest, Twitter is actually much more difficult to use. So there's a bit of a learning curve when it comes to Twitter. Everybody who has a Twitter account with significant following know how hard it is to build a following, how hard it is to find the information that you want, and how terrible the For You tab is. So these people don't even have access to the information. So when you said they voted for Joe Biden in regards to this illegal immigration thing, it's quite ignorant of yourself to think that's what they voted for. When the truth of the matter is they probably have no idea, and they probably were single issue voters and voted for, you know, Medicare or what health care, et cetera, et cetera. Not to say that's a good idea, but it's probably what they voted for. So, you know, it's just it's myopic to think that, you know, they voted for illegal immigration. And the black community is quite aware of how illegal immigration hurts us. You see people talking about it now, but it's been a talking point in our community for a really long time. I've showed you that article on The Root from way back in the day before HuffPo bought them, where, that was the messaging, right? Until HuffPo bought it out. And that's another thing. Like, when we think about black media got bought out. There really isn't much black media left. When we talk about The Root, The Root had the article, how illegal immigration hurts the black community. I think the article was from 2010. Then Huffington Post comes and buys them out, and it just turns far left and starts, pumping out articles about how black men are the white people of black people. So you see this, huge contrast in what it used to be. So we're not even getting the right messaging to the community, which means that there's a huge opportunity to get the right messaging to the community. It's just that the grifters have chosen themselves, over what's actually going to make this country better. Even if you said, hey, the grifters are only worried about votes, well, they would be concerned about their messaging. And the correct messaging would be, hey, Joe Biden and the Democrats have failed you. Let's do something about this. You are our ally. We don't like illegal immigration either. Let's open up some conversations and let's talk about this, and let's highlight the gross failure of the Democratic Party. Instead, what they did was they chose to place the failure on the voters. And this is another example of where, the conservative dark side of the grift chooses the government over its own fellow citizens. And this is why Sonny Johnson comes in and says this is anti-black. Mostly because, if I'm interpreting it, not to put words in her mouth, but, often you hear people say, hey, we want you to drop the title black, drop the title African American, and just say you're an American. But even if we were to do that, you can see that we would not be treated as a fellow American because, well, your messaging doesn't say that. Your messaging doesn't say you're a fellow American. Your messaging says, look at these dumb idiots, these dumb black people who voted for the Democrats. Ha, ha, ha. When really you guys have the same issue. So this is a huge opportunity to have a good message and say, hey, Democrats have failed you. Well, that goes to the next point where I told you I had that why situation, right? Where my brain does this fork, and it comes back to the education of voting. What we find is in these communities, like Chicago, is that there is no Republican to vote for on the ballot. I'm talking specifically local elections. There is no Republican on the ballot. Then the next problem becomes gerrymandering and support for the Republican candidate. So let's say you have two black Republican candidates. One is going to have a Con Inc. message, and one is going to have messaging that will resonate with black residents. It seems as though the Republican Party doesn't support the one that's going to have the messaging. They have the one that's going to have, for example, you got a guy like Herschel Walker, who didn't have the correct messaging. You have a guy like Oz who couldn't beat Fetterman. So they pumped money behind all of the wrong candidates. It just goes back to the fact that the Republicans do a really poor job of picking candidates and supporting the right ones. So when you're in these communities and you're a black person and if you even wanted the option to vote Republican, there actually isn't an option there. And if we know anything, we know that a lot of voting comes down to name recognition, being able to see that name on the ballot and recognize it. So if you have the Democratic Party, with Linda Bankman-Fried's statistical model, which told you exactly how much money and who to support in various areas, and Democrats do a better job of supporting their candidates, especially in areas like this, there's just really no way a Republican could win and get any visibility. And then when you couple that with takes like this, when you do have somebody who is a Republican and defeats all these things like gerrymandering and funding or whatever, and they're doing some door knocking, then before they can even discuss the issues, they have to explain stuff like this. They have to explain the poor messaging of the party that they represent. And they go, hey, look, I'd love to. And this has happened before when people door knock. They go, look, I actually thought about voting Republican, but every time I look, the messaging from them doesn't say they actually want my vote. And this is, a microcosm of the various pieces of messaging that comes out of Con Inc. that just wouldn't resonate with black voters. This messaging does not resonate with black voters. A message that would resonate with black voters is, look at these poor citizens, or look at these victims of the Democratic policies. How do we help, right? And then open up lines of communication and start figuring out, well, who is the Republican candidate in Chicago? Why did he fail? Do we know? How much did he raise as much as his Democratic counterpart? Does anybody have that information? I'll share it on the screen right now. Matter of fact, let's try and find it right now. Chicago mayor race fundraising. Let's see if we can find anything. Anybody know where I would find that information? I'm sorry, I suck at this. Campaign contributions. Let's see here. Election committees donated 2.2 million. So it brought me back to the same article. And chat, I'm gonna check the chat too if you guys got any resources to help me out with this. But I do want to look at well, first of all, who was the Republican candidate in Chicago? Johnson looks like there's an article here. It says 95% of his contract came from unions. Well, who was the Republican candidate, first of all? Let's see that first of all. I'm gonna check the chat because I'm sure they have this information up on the screen now at some point. He said Chicago was split by like 5 candidates. Valos. Okay, Valos. See, like a name I've never even heard before. Chicago. Vallis. Okay, here he is. Vallis from mayor. Yeah, this guy doesn't look like he can connect with Chicago at all. Let's see. Campaign. Did anybody support this guy? Like, what was like? Well, I'm not going to spend any more time. High dollars influenced Johnson. Vallis got 19. More than half of that, nearly 10 million, came from 44 individuals and organizations. Big money pouring. So they both made big money since it's announced. Wait, what's that website again? Open. What is it called? Open. The one that shows you all the Open Society, I think. Open Secrets. Chicago campaign contributions. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Let's do a comparison. Damn. Okay. Here we go. So as you can see here, what year is this? This is 2022. City of Chicago. You guys see the contributions there. And it's all blue. It's all blue. I'm going to hit. Look at this. Look at this. Look at the huge disparity. And this is what I'm talking about. Like, how are you supposed to compete with this? How do you compete with that? Look at the red. Look at how much the blue is dominating in a city like Chicago. Average contributions. Federal candidates. All right, here we go. Republicans, again, getting outraised. Act blue, da-da-da-da. They just do a better job of raising money, right? So, you know, again, I just wanted to show you that disparity, right? So, you know, when you look at the situation in Chicago and you say, hey, these people voted for, you know, Joe Biden, well, maybe. But what are the efforts happening in their city to get Republican candidates in front of them? You know, who's handling the messaging to black people? I haven't seen any great messaging from a Republican Party to the black community in places like Chicago and the south side of Chicago. The messaging's terrible. You know, you're not putting the right candidates up and you're not supporting them. And then you practice the whole gerrymandering thing and whatnot. He said that's why Trump tried going to blue cities. Yeah. Yeah. Jack said, I don't see any worthy candidates. Yeah. He said, P-Dub Design says there is no message from ours to the blacks. And, you know, I've heard this consistently, especially on the radio. I listen to Sirius and I hear this a lot. And they say, you know, I heard Sonny arguing with somebody this week. And, you know, she basically said, or the guy that called in, you know, he said, you know, why should we pander to one group of people, et cetera, et cetera. And, you know, Sonny Johnson's rebuttal was like, yeah, you pander to your own. You know, you have your fundraisers and your, you know, bagels and donuts, you know, for your people. But you ain't got no fried chicken and watermelon for us.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
Okay, maybe that was slightly racist. But the fact of the matter is, you know, you think that it's about catering to black people or catering your message to black people, and it's like, you know, pandering, I think they said it was, and then they always come back to, oh, we're all Americans. And it's like, well, we are all Americans, but depending on where you live, you have different problems. So if these set of Americans, let's remove black from the situation completely. If this particular demographic of Americans, south side of Chicago, have a problem, what is the messaging to those Americans in the south side of Chicago that'll get them to come over to your side? It's not blaming them for their problems and the failed policies of the Democratic. You know, it's not, you don't blame them. You have to blame the Democrats and say, look, we got your back. These people have failed you. And they absolutely suck at that. They absolutely suck at the messaging, and they don't want to have the right messaging. You know, I think many of the grifters and the candidates are afraid to have the correct messaging because it doesn't get the same engagement. You get more engagement when you blame the black community for problems than when you assuage them, so to speak. And, you know, if you do assuage them, the problem is, you know, you get called a lefty, a liberal, socialist, a Democrat, et cetera, and it's basically cancel culture, but on the other side. And, you know, it's like, you know, they don't want that messaging doesn't resonate. You know, they want to hear, you know, don't give them reparations. That'll get you a lot of clicks. If you're a black conservative and you really want to, you know, get your grift on, talk bad about reparations, you know, just disparage the black community and you know, do nothing to help. And, you know, they'll push you to the forefront, which makes you think like, well, maybe the messaging is towards racist white people. Maybe that's the group that they're going for. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is the messaging sucks, and I don't feel like talking about this topic anymore. So let's move on. Point was made. Let's go back in the grift bag. We got to do better, people. We got to do better with the messaging. Let's talk about some relationship stuff. It's Masculinity Monday. We're going to talk about Biden at the HBCUs. We're going to look at Patriot Front. We got some commercials to play. But let's go here. Let's talk about relationships really fast. You know, we got to cover the relationship grift. Leave no stone unturned. Let's see.
Can I ask you one more question?
Fire away, honey.
Okay. If you have only one place in your heart for one woman, or you want to have one woman in your heart, I think you said, why don't you just commit to one and choose to be faithful to her?
I'm just not wired that way. I spent my whole 20s trying to fix myself. Thought something was
You're a
wrong
man of
with me.
self-control. You work out, you do business.
Yeah.
You can possess your own power and direct it the way you want to direct it.
It's not how I am.
You think that might be a limited mindset?
I think it's none of your business, but I don't want you to think I'm triggered by you. I'm not. Okay. I saw somebody say that, and I think that's interesting. I think you're annoying, but I'm not triggered. You know what I'm saying? No, you are. You're annoying in like this goody two-shoes type way, and that's fine. I'm going to live my life on my terms, unapologetically, like truly. So you can ask me this 85 different ways. At the end of the day, I'm going to walk out of here the same man.
Can I ask you one more question?
Very interesting. Hold on. I want to play a certain part right here.
Why don't you just commit to one and choose to be faithful to her?
I'm just not wired that way. I spent my whole 20s trying to fix myself. Thought something was wrong with me.
You're a man of self-control. You work out, you do.
So there's a little bit of credence here to what she's saying, right? You know, when somebody says I'm hardwired a certain way, but you claim to be a disciplined man, that means you can undo the wiring, right? So there's a little bit of credence to what she's saying here.
Business, you can possess your own power and direct it the way you want to direct it.
It's not how I am.
And the one thing I don't agree with is his response to her. You know, I wouldn't have handled the situation like this. You know, my approach to this situation would have been, I would just listen to her and just said, oh, okay, you know, it's an interesting concept, and just kept it moving. Mostly because, you know, these women won't understand, you know, or won't try to understand. You know, I might have had some rebuttals. You know, my main rebuttal would have been, hey, listen, you know, I spent my 20s becoming a 1% high value man. And personally, I think I deserve more than one woman. Can you please tell me why I shouldn't have more than one woman? Because if you ain't got no kids and you're single and you're making a lot of money, why should you settle for one woman when you can have many? You know, now, if you, let's say you find a woman and that woman meets your criteria, makes all your check marks, then maybe it makes sense, right? But sometimes you'll have one woman who covers half your list and another woman that covers the other half of your list. So it makes sense to have both or multiple. Also, you know, it's quite traditional in some cultures to have more than one wife. And in the society that we live in today, I think it makes sense for some people to have more than one wife if you can take care of them, if you can, you know, support them. You know, protection and provision, et cetera, et cetera. I think there is a case to be made, especially when we look at the way our society has developed into this debauched, lecherous OnlyFans society where women are running to sex work to support themselves, mostly to keep up with the Joneses, because you can go get a regular job, although that's much harder, right? It's much harder to sit down, study, build your skills, and then go get a job when you could just bust it open and make, you know 5 to 10x that, you know, just busting it open. So obviously, you know, because of the internet, the barrier to entry to sex work is much lower. You know, back in the day, you had to go through different producers and they produced you in pornography or, you know, Playboy magazine or whatever it was. But now it's direct to consumer. via platforms like OnlyFans and Patreon and whatever else is out there. So being that it's direct to consumer, women have direct access to the sexual marketplace and they can cash in. Now, if we had a situation where men could support multiple women, well, maybe these women don't go to sex work because they're willing to participate in a polygynous relationship, and they can live alongside another woman and they can get along and they can have a beautiful village of children and a wonderful family. You know, and it's just weird because we're in a situation now where moms can have penises and dads can have vaginas, but God forbid a man or a child has two moms.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
You know, they say, hey, you can have two moms, but what they're really talking about are, you know, two T people. But if you have two biological women that are in matrimony with a man, a biological man, then it doesn't make sense to have two moms. Like, where are we? And we see this also in the Islamic society. There are things that they say about, you know, the maximum wives that you can have over there, what those limitations are and how you acquire them, et cetera, et cetera. But I think the main issue here is, why is she so concerned with how many women he has?
You think that might be a limited mindset?
I think it's none of your business, but I don't want you to think I'm triggered by you. I'm not. Okay. I saw somebody say that, and I think that's interesting. I think you're annoying, but I'm not triggered.
Now, I don't know why he called her annoying, mostly because this is just a 52-second clip, and there's probably a whole bunch of things she has said before this, but let's continue.
You know what I'm saying? No, you are. You're annoying in like this goody two-shoes type way, and that's fine. I'm going to live my life on my terms, unapologetically, like truly. So you can ask me this 85 different ways. At the end of the day, I'm going to walk out of here the same man.
Can I ask you one more question?
Fire away, honey.
Okay. If you have only one place in your heart for one woman, or you want to have...
Now, if he did, in fact, say he has only... you know, one spot in his heart for a woman, then I think at some point he'll come to the conclusion that he'll settle down with one woman. But it's going to have to be a miraculous woman. She's going to have a lot going for her as far as probably traditionalism. I'm sure this guy's not going to wife up some OnlyFans chick. He's not going to wife up some chick who has multiple bodies. He's definitely going to look for, you know, a trad wife. But again, you know, it's so hard out here for a man that, like, if you want multiple women, you should get them.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
If a man can get multiple women and they're okay with it, that's a life I think he should live. I think if this guy says, yo, I want multiple women, and he can do that, then he should do that. Nobody says nothing when all these women are with multiple guys and none of them are wifing her. Right? But that's our relationship talk for the day. Can't wait for the call-ins. Let's go back in the Grift bag. I know exactly where we're going next. Let's pull this up, because this is just, you know, all of these topics sort of lead into one another and set each other up. So Miller Lite, we know we had Bud Light. Now Miller Lite has a commercial. Let's see what this is about.
Here's a little known fact. Women were among the very first to brew beer ever. From Mesopotamia to the Middle Ages to colonial America, women were the ones doing the brewing. Centuries later, how did the industry pay homage to the founding mothers of beer? They put us in bikinis. Wow. Look at this wild. It's time beer made it up to women.
Now, as you can see, she's removing the image of what I would say is an attractive model in a traditional sense, you know, us guys who aren't into, you know, us fat phobic guys, I would say. But here they are removing this image of the woman in the bikini because, you know, advertising uses sex to sell, has for a really long time. And in a way, I'm not too mad at that, right? Because, you know, the sexualization of women, it feeds into cultural Marxism. It feeds into this OnlyFans thing. It feeds into, this is what women should aspire to be, naked and, whatnot, and be seen, right? So I'm not too mad at that. But in lieu of what? Like, what do you replace that with? What messaging are you replacing that with? And let's see. But keep in mind that I believe the destruction of these images that you see here on the screen with what we would call an attractive woman is going to be replaced by the fat girl. I'm going to just say it.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
These fat bitches. Okay? They want to bring these obese people and make being obese a standard of beauty, while knowing that obesity leads to cardiovascular issues and more, right? Particularly heart disease, because it's just, so much harder for your body to work. So it's like, no, screw these skinny women, right? What we want to do is we want to bring in the Lizzos of the world and make that the norm. Let's continue.
Look at this wild. It's time beer made it up to women. So today, Miller Lite is on a mission to clean up not just their
Now, it's time they make it up to women. What does that even mean?
The whole beer industry's Miller Lite has been scouring the internet for all this and buying it back so that they can turn it into good for women brewers.
So they're scouring the internet for all of these types of images so they can destroy it. What does that remind you of? Does that not remind you of 1984? Where all these types of literature that's found that they don't like must be destroyed? Not archived, destroyed. Not studied, destroyed. Let's delete the past. This is what we see a lot coming from the left, is a deletion of the past, a deletion of history. So you can no longer look back and say, well, where did we start? Therefore, we can learn, how did we get here? Now, let's see the plot of this whole thing.
Literally good How, you ask? Ladies, take it away.
First, we turn the bad into compost. Then we feed compost to worms. Push out beautiful fertilizer.
That good helps farmers grow quality hops, which is then donated to women brewers to make their own really good
But there's definitely more out there.
Do you hear what she said? Women brewers.
In your attic, in the garage, in your parents' basement. Send any you got into Miller Lite, and they'll turn that into good too. Oh. So here's to women, because without us, there would be no beer.
So they're leading a campaign for women brewers. What is that going to do? Obviously, this is going to increase competition for men who more than likely dominate the brewing industry. And we're seeing a lot of brewing happening independently. If you go out to California, there's a lot of different beer places that, buy local, and you can get local beer. So Miller Lite is saying, look, we are going to destroy the competition that could one day become competition because men are so great at business and forging ahead. How do we destroy that competition? Well, let's put that money into female brewers, because the women just frankly aren't going to be as good at business, and we can control them because we funded them. Then we can buy them out and they'll be amalgamated into our corporation. But this is the destruction of masculinity. And this is why so many women are having to head to OnlyFans. This is why Ebony K. Williams can't find a man. This is why it is so hard to become a high value man and so hard for women to find a high value man, because you have agendas like this astroturfing competition to destroy male corporations, organizations, etc., etc. So that's the real play here. So this is when, you know, beer companies go woke. So on one side, we saw they went woke with the tea person. Now they're going woke with feminism and basically saying, hey, we're going to destroy men in a different way. So Bud Light says we're going to destroy masculinity by promoting this image of, you know, the tea people. And Miller Lite says we're going to destroy masculinity by astroturfing their competition. Nasty work by the left, nasty work by the competition. And I hope Miller Lite has the same problems that Bud Light does. So let's move on. On the subject of white women, we got to talk about this. We got to pull this up on the screen. And this is something I've dealt with in my life. I've been in situations like this before. And when I say it, people think I'm crazy. They're like, oh, you're just making that up. But let's go to the clip.
Go, record him. Help me! Please help me! It's not your bike. Please help me! It's not your bike. It's not your bike. Please help me! Help! Please get off me! Hey, what the fuck is going on, bro? Yo, don't take it, bro. Now you're not getting the bike, bro. Hey, now you're not getting the bike, bro. Help! You're not getting the bike. I'm not.
Why you took his phone? What's wrong with you?
You're not touching his phone.
You're not touching his phone.
I'm not touching you. You putting your stomach on my head.
My dude, stop. No, my dude, stop. No. I said no. I said sit down.
Please help. She's just crying.
You're not crying. I got you on video. Wait, you pulled it out? Hassan, you pulled it out? Hassan, you pulled it out?
This is my bike. It's on my account. Please move.
All right, so why don't we reset the bike?
I'm not resetting the bike.
It's his.
Reset it. I'm going to pull it out on your account.
You're active.
I don't give a fuck.
This is my bike crying.
Guys,
this is fake crying. Stop fake crying.
Hey, stop touching me. I want to touch you.
Hold up.
Hey, stop touching me. Stop touching me.
Why don't you take this bike?
Stop touching me.
You're not touching it. I will.
Exactly. So take it. So take it.
Buddy, you're stupid ass. Fuck out of here. Dumbass. Your baby gonna come out with time.
Wait, how you stop crying? Not a tear came down, miss. Not a tear came down.
So, like I said, I've been in this situation before, you know, several times in my life. Just by being in close proximity to white women and being a black male. Now, you know, if we want to, you know, label this racism or whatever you guys want to label it, but I just want to point out something is the act. And notice as soon as the other gentleman comes over, she immediately goes into the act of tears and plays victim. But she starts off with the whole help thing. But let's go to the tears.
Dude, stop. No, stop. No. I said no. I said sit down.
Please help.
You see that? Did you see that? As soon as he walks over, now all of a sudden, she's got to put on the crying act, right? Because the common thing is, well, if there are black males and this is a white female, then obviously it's very easy to get sympathy as a female or a white female because obviously black men are dangerous. And this is something that Hollywood has done a great job of is, you know, character assassination. You know, Shaka was talking about this with me the other day, is this character assassination of people's images. So the character assassination of a black male, labeling him as dangerous. Nowadays, the white male is being labeled as dangerous. So when another gentleman comes along, she goes right into, hey, I'm a victim. And let me start crying because that's what works. And this is dangerous. This is the type of stuff that gets people killed. This is, you know, some people would compare to Emmett Till. I wouldn't go that far because there's more nuance to that story. But, and I'm not even going to go into the politics. I'm not even going to say, hey, this person's a white liberal. This person's a white Republican. I'm not going to go into that. I'm just going to say there are many white women that pull this shit. And this stuff is dangerous. And not only white women do it, black women do it too, just in different ways, okay? But apparently what happened here, these brothers, they grabbed his bike and they, you know, these one of these e-bikes and it's attached to your phone. So they activated this bike And then obviously she comes over, and now there's this argument over the bike, which is really weird. But the fact that she went into this whole acting thing is just absolutely deplorable. Mo Fax says white tears are currency. Jerry Sanderson says, why was she yelling for help? That's a good question. Why is she yelling for help? Because she knows she's surrounded by a group of black guys, and if she screams help, she knows how that looks. She knows somebody is going to help. She knows that's a fight she can win. This is something that they did against Trump, right? You see Trump going through this issue too. And like I said, it's not just black men that are victims of this, but white men are also victim of it too, as we see with Trump. You know, retroactively, you could just make up something and he's guilty, right? So, you know, here's a clip I saw. I said I wanted to weigh in on this. This is absolutely disgusting. If you're a white woman, please don't do this. If you're a black woman, please don't do this. Latina, whatever your race, you're a woman, please don't do this. You know, act your age or don't. Act above your age. But this is who is videoing this nonsense. There's another individual who's involved in this. And I'm glad he videotaped it so people can see what people go through. And also, you got to cover your ass. You grab the bike in a city, and there's a white woman crying for help. I'm pulling my phone out ASAP. Like, nope, I need my evidence. I have to cover myself in court, because if I don't cover myself in court, it's her word versus mine. And if I'm in one of these Democratic places, or it might be in a conservative place, you know, who knows what'll happen? Who knows? You know, how that verdict is going to run down. And I'm going to tell you right now, whether I'm in a Democratic city or a Republican city, I don't expect to win this. I don't expect me and 3 black men to win against a white woman that can just break down into fake tears at will. I don't expect to win that in any white courtroom with a white judge or anywhere. So, yeah, I wanted to play that because I wanted to weigh in on that, you know. Hashtag Grift Bag. If you see some internet you want me to weigh in on, tag me and hashtag Grift Bag. But make sure you tag me. That's just disgusting. That's just, you know, the lowest levels of Karen we've seen in a while. Absolutely deplorable. Absolutely disgusting. All right, let's go back in the Grift Bag. I'm gonna reach my hand deep down into the Grift Bag now, and let's talk about this. I didn't even, we're going to talk about, let's see, hold on. Here we go. Let's pull this up. So here's the meme, Dear Feds, at least change the uniform. So you have this group, the Patriot Front, and apparently they were marching this week, putting on a demonstration here, at the Capitol of all places. And as you can see here they are marching, et cetera, et cetera. And in response to that, basically what I want to do is I wanted to get my grift off, right? So the first thing I said was, at least I know what I'm going to be for Halloween this year. I'm going to be a Patriot Front member for Halloween. Usually I don't dress up, but in this case, this is a uniform I would love to wear for Halloween. Because, well, these people are cosplaying. I believe they're cosplaying. Maybe it's a real group. I don't know. But I believe they're cosplaying. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to show people how this could be a psyop. So what I did was I went to Google and I tried to find. Actually, let's do it live now, right? I'll show you exactly what happened to me. So let's go here. And I'll pull you up. Let's pull up Google, and you guys can see this on your screen. Let's make sure you can see my search. Okay, you can see my search there, right? Okay. Now I'm going to type in U.S. false flag operations, right? And let's just see what comes up in it, right? And we have, various sources here on this topic, right? But when I went through, what I was looking for, I couldn't find. So what I did was I actually had to change search engines. So I went to the Russian website and I typed in Yandex. And I did this on my phone, so we might not get the same results. And this might not be the exact keyword I used, but I had to go to Yandex. And Yandex gave me much better results. So this is just a little bit of a hack here. And this is the source I found. I just found it right there. 53 cases of admitted false flag attacks by governments. And they're all listed here, right? 53 cases of false flags, da-da-da-da. So that's how I found my source. So what I did was I picked one out that I thought was most relevant to our situation and highlighted it. Let's go in here. Let's see if we can pull it up. Okay, here it is. Boom. So number 28. A U.S. congressional committee admitted that, as part of its COINTELPRO campaign, the FBI had used many provocateurs in the 1950s through 1970s to carry out violent acts and falsely blame them on political activists. Then I had this one individual who had what I would say is an ignorant response, not sure if they were a Fed, or what, but let's see if we can find that response, because I want to show you what they said. So give me a second. I'm going to have to scroll back to, I think this was Saturday. And I'm going to pull that tweet up in just a moment. As soon as here we go. Okay, here it is. So this person says, this would make more sense if they were committing violent acts or advocating committing violent acts, but they aren't. So because I didn't draw a direct correlation, I drew an indirect correlation, but I just wanted to show you the possibilities and relate it to said incident. But with she, being the small brain individual that this person is, they go, well, Patriot Front hasn't done anything violent, so what you're saying is not valid, right? But what I believe is the powers that be are less likely to be as violent as they used to be, mostly because of social media and citizen journalism. Back in the 50s and 70s, you could scream at the top of your lungs and nobody was going to hear you. But now social media, and all the questions surrounding that day in New York City, they can't be as sloppy anymore, right? They can't be as violent and have lack of compassion for life. Let's say that, right? So what they understand is that they don't have to be violent anymore. You don't have to be violent. You can just pose the threat. You can just put the threat out there, and everybody else, the speculation, will weigh in on it. For example, and we're going to go into that next. What did Biden say to HBCU? We're going to go into that topic next. And he said, white supremacy, da-da-da-da. So if we're in grifting season, a.k.a. election season, or almost on our way there, what is the talking point that the Democrats are going to weigh in on? They're going to weigh in on the whole white supremacy thing and say, look at these groups popping up. You should be afraid. Daddy Biden will protect you. The Democrats will protect you. Nancy Pelosi will protect you. Kamala Harris will protect you. Come over here, Negroes. The white man, the boogeyman is coming to get you. Okay? So if this may be a very real group, but if we're speculating and saying that this is a potential false flag operation, that is plausible. It could definitely be that, based upon previous precedents set by our government and these three-letter agencies. And that's what I believe. I don't believe this is a real group. I think it's a front. I think it's a way to scare people into thinking that this is a real white nationalist uprising that's happening in America, okay? The other thing I want to say is, like, you never see them and Antifa in the same place at the same time. Where's Antifa? You know, it would definitely make sense, you know, speculating here, that if you're the left, you know, you would take your contingent of Antifa operatives and say, listen, we need you to pose as the enemy to bring people around to our cause. So you take your same Antifa operatives, you give them new uniforms, and you send them out, and then here they are. Now you get to scare people into accepting your way of life. So, again, it looks like a false handkerchief to me. I can't really believe that at all. They're not going to scare me into that, which leads us into the next piece of this white supremacy grift. So here we have a tweet that says Jordan Neely's fundraisers at 82,000. His killer, Daniel Penny's legal defense fundraiser is now at over 1.3 million, 16 times more. Now, this morning I heard he's at 2 million. So, you know, we've reported on this channel before about this, and we told you, you know, the grift would continue, right? The Jordan Neely grift has basically 3 acts. It looks like this is we're still in Act 1. And part of Act 1 is now the selection of a hero, okay? And this is where conservatives' messaging is going to go wrong, and it's going to work against them, because they've chosen to make this guy some sort of hero, and a Kyle Rittenhouse Part 2. Now, Now, him and Kyle Rittenhouse are nothing the same, right? I said Kyle Rittenhouse was a great individual, and I supported him, and I did not think that gentleman should go to jail, mostly because I saw the full tape. His life was in danger, and he tried to protect himself. And one of the white dudes was dropping an N-bomb like crazy. Nobody said anything about that, but they were threatening his life. And I didn't think he should go to jail for defending himself. Now, this individual, we still haven't seen the full tape. This individual's life didn't look like it was in any danger, so I would not put him in the same box as Kyle Rittenhouse. However, you can put him in the same house as Kyle Rittenhouse because everybody is running to support Daniel Penny. Now, whether Daniel Penny is innocent or guilty or not is irrelevant to my point. What's happening now is Daniel Penny has become a part of the grift, and we told you this grift would have 3 acts. So now in this act, all we have is people, for example, Tim Pool sent him $20,000 this morning and donated to that campaign. So now you'll have virtue signaling on the right where people will follow behind, Tim Pool. And I'm not saying Tim Pool shouldn't send his money there. He can do whatever he wants with his money. And I'm not saying Tim Pool is grifting, but I think people are going to see what Tim Pool did. And there's a lot of people that are now choosing the Daniel Penny grift and trying to make him look like a martyr, But Daniel Penny has become a grift for the right. And you see many accounts pop up and say, hey, Daniel Penny deserves to be innocent, And really, I'm just sitting over here like, I don't know if he's innocent or guilty because I haven't seen enough footage. So we got to wait for the trial. We got to wait for more footage. And the last piece of footage that dropped didn't show Jordan Neely to be a threat. Now, that's not to say that more footage will come out to show him as a threat, but the way the media is dripping this information to us is sketchy. Let's see if we can pull up that footage, Jordan Neely. Let me see if I can find that new clip. Here it is. So this is the new clip that just dropped of Jordan Neely. Let's play it.
Just the homeless man. I need to shelter and drink. Food, thirsty, and milk. TV, Popeyes, thirsty and shelter. Milk, TV, and drink. That's passion. Thirsty and milk. Food, hungry. That's what's going on. Shelter and drink. Thirsty and milk. Food, TV, Popeyes. Thirsty and drink. TV, milk. Thirsty and food. Drink hungry. I need to survive. Milk, shelter. Drink hungry.
Now, if you look right here at this woman in the background, she has a smile on her face. She has a smirk on her face. She doesn't seem like she's afraid of this guy. He doesn't seem to pose a threat to anybody in the train based upon her reaction, right? So in this clip, he's not posing a threat. He definitely appears to be mentally ill, though. I don't know what the hell he's saying. It doesn't seem to be coherent. I don't know if he's rapping or his brain's in like a screwed up loop, but he's definitely not right in the mind. That we can say for sure. But again, the media is going to manipulate us, and they're going to play different clips or release these clips and drip them to us to make everybody look like a fool. So either Jordan Neely, the footage later on, we come to find out he was a threat and the left looks like a fool, or he wasn't a threat and the right looks like a fool. But I'm not picking sides in this, because picking sides in this is really the wrong thing to do, because it's such an insignificant event in all of our lives. This is, and really what happens is, it goes from an insignificant event in New York City to becoming a historical event as big as George Floyd. So the more energy we pour into it, the bigger this Jordan Neely becomes the next George Floyd and becomes something to campaign on. And we saw Nancy Pelosi with the last election. What did she say? She said, we have to thank George Floyd for helping with the elections. I'm paraphrasing here, but she said we got to thank George Floyd, because without George Floyd, they wouldn't have had nothing to grasp onto. They wouldn't have anything to campaign on. So they're going to partly campaign on Patriot Front, and then partly campaign on the tragic death of Jordan Neely. Now, if you look at Jordan Neely's track record, it don't look good. I ain't even gonna hold you. So I'm gonna say something controversial right now, and if it gets clipped, it just gets clipped. You know, I'll deal with those consequences. But based upon the information that I saw from Jordan Neely's tragic passing, because I believe, you know, majority of life passing is tragic. And society has failed Jordan Neely because of his mental illness that manifested. But because of his track record, I saw things on there like kidnapping children and attacking women. If based upon that information being true, I can't say I care that he's gone.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
Wrong button. I don't care. I don't care. Like, there's so much more life out here to be concerned with than, you know, some guy who was a menace to society. Like, if you kidnap a child, to me, and somebody takes you out, then, that it was part of God's plan. Let's just call it that. It's part of God's plan. But again, I don't condone violence. I don't condone murder. I don't. I would have been able to handle this situation a lot better than Daniel Penny based upon the information that we saw. But based upon who Jordan Neely was on paper with his different arrests and incarcerations, etc., this is an insignificant event in all of our lives. But we've made it the next, we're making him the next George Floyd. And Daniel Penny, we're trying to make him the next Kyle Rittenhouse, which is unfair to Kyle Rittenhouse. But now we're making this thing an event. And I told you this would have 3 acts. Act 1 is, what we're seeing now. Act 2 is the actual trial. Act 3 is the verdict of said trial. So we got a long way to go on this. And you got to buckle up, man. This is election season, aka grifting season. Let's go to y'all president. He's not my president. Not my president. Let's go to Biden. Biden has some choice words this weekend. Coincidentally, in alignment with the Patriot Front demonstration. Let's see what he says here.
To stand up against the poison of white supremacy, as I did in my inaugural address, to single out as the most dangerous terrorist threat to our homeland is white supremacy.
Now, that statement there is obviously pandering.
And I'm not saying this because I'm at a black HBCU.
Then he says black HBCU, which is a redundancy because HBCU has black in it, historically black college universities. There ain't no white HBCUs. Shout out to all the white HBCUs, as a matter of fact. Shout out to all the Latino HBCUs. Just makes absolutely no sense. Now, obviously somebody prepared this statement for him, but the fact that he has this redundancy in saying black HBCUs means he doesn't know what HBCU stands for. But it also means he has no connection to this community whatsoever. He doesn't understand this community whatsoever. And I think it's absolutely deplorable that an HBCU, Howard University in this particular instance, I believe this is, would have Joe Biden, Crime Bill Joe, Jim Crow Joe speaking at their graduation ceremony. That's terrible. Terrible. And then, so again, coming back to what we said before, right? And we said, you know, the black community doesn't have much options when it comes to voting. Look at who our leadership presents in front of us. We don't get fair options. The messaging that comes to us at our university graduation is Joe Biden full of pandering and frankly lies. The greatest terror threat to the United States is not white supremacy. And if it were white supremacy, we would have to label it the Democratic Party specifically, because these are the people that have failed us. White supremacy has failed Chicago, as you can see with all the illegal immigration affecting the black lives living in Chicago. So if you wanted to say that is the truth, he'd have to point the finger at himself. Patriot Front is not a threat. Proud Boys is not a threat. These groups are not a terror threat. These even if these groups are real, these are fringe groups with 100 people, if that, you know, signed up. I know who the greatest terror threat is to the United States. I will not say here today on today's presentation. If you come to Hotep Con, I'll tell you.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
I'll tell you the various terror threats to our nation. If you come to Hotep Con, tickets on sale at hotepnation.com/HotepCon, our annual conference. But this is just terrible. This is absolutely terrible. Hold on, let me go back in the bag because I want to show you something. Because we're not all falling for it. Not everybody is falling for this nonsense. Let's go here. Let's pull this up on your screen. Who do we got right here? One of our fellow black Hoteps. Biden and Harris don't care about black people. They're not fooled. Not everyone is fooled by this Democratic Party. You see the brother with the locks. Shout out to my brothers with the locks. My lock community, I appreciate you. You see him. He stands up and holds up the sign. He's just as pissed off about this as I am. How dare you bring this fool to my graduation and talk to me about black people? If we're going to have an HBCU, why is there a white man speaking there? Any white man is the HBCU, and all of the people. Why isn't Clarence Thomas there? Why isn't Thomas Sowell there? Why isn't who's the other black billionaire? I know he spoke at one before. Y'all couldn't even get Obama. Y'all, and I'm not the biggest fan of Obama, but damn, like Biden, like you got the whitest of white men, the worst crop of white men. You didn't even get a good white man. You could have got Robert De Niro. Don't no white man on this planet love black people more than Robert De Niro. But I just wanted to show you this, to show you, because what many of the grifters will say is, you know, black people are fooled by this messaging. They are not. That's them old folks, man. Them boomers, they fooled by this messaging because, you know, they went through it. And I understand they went through the whole, you know, Jim Crow and all of that and segregation. And, you know, I understand their problem, their plight and what they relate to. But this new cast, y'all got to remember, if you fix your messaging, you will get these voters. You will get these people on their side that are hip, that know the game. And there's a lot of them out there. Black men are hip. And if there's anybody that the Republicans should shape their messaging for, it's black men. Black men are not fooled. Black men are rebelling the liberal, socialist, democratic campaign messaging, voting ideas. They're rejecting democracy. They're rejecting socialism. They're rejecting Democrats. They're rejecting liberals, left and right, in abundance. And if you fix your messaging, this is who you can get on your side. And I'm telling you, it's masculine energy versus feminine energy. On the left, it's pure feminine energy. On the right, it's pure masculine energy. But if you don't fix your messaging, you're going to lose black men to the left. But if you have a good, strong, masculine take, black men are going to come over to the right. We're going to open up phone lines and read super chats. Let's get right into it. 202-596-5631. 202-596-5631. This is my favorite part of the Grift Report. We're here every day, 2 p.m. Eastern time, Monday through Friday. Let me pop the number in the chat, and then I'll get into super chats. I appreciate y'all tuning in today. 357. Hit the like button. We have 361 watching right now. Hit the like button. Please and thank you. Tuning in dropouts at currently in Charleston, making my way to Miami. Hope to see you there. I'll be there, bro. You got a ticket? If you don't got a ticket, let me know. I'll get you one. Juke Joint 523. He said that's their fault. Too much info to be ignorant. Uh-oh.
Call from
Goldstein.
Hotep Goldstein, you on the line, baby?
What's cracking? What's cracking?
What's cracking, homie?
I wanted to talk about the feds.
Okay, talk to me about them.
The marching ass feds, man.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, I'm not too sure that a lot of them dudes are necessarily feds. I just believe there's a lot of plants because I know a few homies from the joint that's fucking with them dudes, like real deal AB dudes is fucking with them dudes real tough.
Okay.
And they got
the Patriot Front guys.
Yeah.
Okay, well let's stop right there and tell me about this particularly, right? You're saying that you know people that you were in the pen with, right?
Yeah.
And so what kind of conversations are you having these on phone, text messaging, social media? How do you know that they like these guys?
You know, a lot of them are out with me. I'm an RSS, so I talk to a lot of dudes that get out.
What's an RSS?
You know, it's a person who's been through recovery specialist training.
Okay.
For drug and alcohol abuse.
Okay.
And you had to have gone through some shit too yourself. You had to have recovered to get this type of certification.
Okay. So you're leading this program and they're entering this program.
Yeah, they get out of the joint. They go to halfway houses and shit. And I teach a lot of classes at the halfway houses.
Okay.
So I kind of got my finger on the pulse of fools getting out, and you know they are in contact with fools on the street who are currently supporting this group, and who some of them are members writing their cousins and shit that are still locked up.
Right.
You know, these are certified white supremacists, you know what I mean? But they're not on that weird shit, most of them.
Yeah.
But the Patriot Front, I don't think should be smeared necessarily as a collective group. But I'm fairly certain that they've been infiltrated thoroughly.
Yes.
So they're definitely a legit group, but I don't know just like painting them with the entire brush because, you know, like I said, a lot of these fools are supporting them from the inside. A lot of fools are getting out to join their cause and
well, here's the
take
thing,
up that
right?
mantle.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
The way the feds work is they many of the times they don't create the group, right? And we saw that with the Black Panther Party, and we saw that with other groups out in Arizona or Colorado, wherever it is, right? And I've done presentations about this on the past. But what's happening, right? So what they do is they'll fund and support. Like, remember that story, the one dude who was like, he was a complete moron, and I think he had the idea to carry out some terrorist threat, but had no idea how to pull it off. And they gave him the guns, they gave him the bomb materials, right? And then he didn't even go to pull it off, but then they arrested him after they gave him the stuff that they planted in his mind, right? So I'm looking at it like maybe the organization Patriot Front is real and started off real, but it could be astroturfed. And we know I would definitely bet that it's been infiltrated heavily.
Like, I mean, like, I can't really take most Panther groups nowadays seriously because of COINTELPRO and all the shit that went on.
Right.
You know, I feel like if your name is known, you're infiltrated. The only real homegrown groups going on nowadays ain't the ones that you even know about, you know?
Right.
And fucking, the reason why I say that it's important that people differentiate between this being a Fed group or this being a homegrown group infiltrated by the feds is because if people start to take up that mindset about everything they hear, then the ability for legitimate groups to recruit starts to fucking wane. And a lot of these groups, Black, white, Mexican, doesn't matter. A lot of these groups need the membership because I'm going to tell you, bro, this is the age of the strong man. All this voting, all this petitioning to elected officials and shit. I mean, it's like, how are you going to continue to try and appeal to a corrupt system to change when the system is corrupt? That's like, I was telling my old lady this morning, that's like a motherfucking husband whooping his wife and she's asking him for help while he's doing it.
Yeah.
It don't make no sense. So I just don't want the image of a lot of these groups, not that one in particular, but a lot of the groups that are coming through, you know, with a specific messaging. I don't want their images to be tarnished because everybody just assumes they're feds.
What is their message?
What
is their message?
Their message in particular, I'm not too keen on.
Okay.
But I do know that it's somewhat anti-establishment, and a lot of these groups that are coming up and need to be heard, a lot of them are just like, yo, we need to completely either eradicate this system or completely opt out of it.
Okay.
And that's where we're headed as a society. Sitting in here trying to fix this shit from the inside out, it's not going to work. Hasn't worked over the past 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that a lot of these groups, these what they would call adversarial groups, they need to be starting, like people need to start listening to them.
Yeah.
More so than they are listening to these, well, we can vote the problem out. Shit. Man, please. No matter what collective you belong to in this country, whether it's black, whether it's gay, whether it's left, whether it's right, whether it's straight, whatever, everybody has the same perspective on what they consider the powers that be.
Yes.
They ain't shit. Yeah. Now, whether they're right or wrong, that can be debated from now until the end of time.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody collectively realizes that the fucking government ain't shit. So if that's been the sentiment for well over 100 years now, then why in the fuck do people continue to opt into this system? It's just like you're just buying the sham.
Yeah.
And I think groups like this, not necessarily them, like I said, but groups that would be considered adversarial to the establishment, People need to start listening to their messaging, and I think just labeling them fed off the rip hurts that.
Interesting.
I think part of the PSYOP is they just float that shit out there in conspiratorial circles and just say, "Oh, Fed." Yeah, that could be a Fed typing that shit for the express purpose of salting you against that type of mentality.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Oh, wow. That's an interesting take. Also, you know, the fact that they blow this up out of proportion probably helps their recruiting.
Yeah, for sure. All this shit, man. I mean, like I said, they're probably infiltrated. I don't know, but just instantly labeling shit that looks like, oh man, you know, this could be another PSYOP. Yeah, it could be, but just instantly labeling shit like that, and instead of actually listening to the messaging.
I wish they would have a message though, like, you know, so we could listen to it. But we're not getting that information, right? If you could find out what their message is, let us know.
Will do, man. I'll keep my ear to the street on that one, because, like I said, a lot of these white boys, like from what I can understand, from what I've been told, is that they center around a white nationalist message. So their messaging sounds very similar to Nick Fuentes' shit.
Right.
And that's beneficial for them, I suppose.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily beneficial for everyone. So I say that when you come in this manner, you are not only salting people towards what you got going on, but you're also limiting your recruitment.
Do they have a website?
I believe they do. I believe
Patriot
they do.
Front website. Let's see if we can find that website and see what. All right, here we go. PatriotFront.us. Let's put this on the screen here. Hold on. Hold on a second. Let me get this on the screen so the people can see it. And then, hold on. Where are we? I have several screens open. Let's go here. Let's go here. And then the people will be able to see it. So it says Reclaim America. Okay. Life. Americans will fully recognize themselves as people, not merely citizens. Our people, born to this nation of our European race, must reforge themselves as a new collective capable of asserting our right to cultural independence. A life of this nation, unique among all others, will be defended. You got liberty up here. They're talking about a global plutocracy, which, you know, we all are quite aware of and wouldn't argue against that. Unshackled from tyrannical rule. Defend American labor, I see on here. Okay, so here it is. What is the purpose of activism? Okay, this got a video. There's not much text here, but they got video. All right, so we'll have to do some research on this, and we'll circle back on it in the future.
For sure. Like a lot of that shit I'm vibing with. Like I said, when you just say it's a white nationalist type of group, okay, that's cool for y'all. You limit your recruitment when you do that shit. So I always saw that as a negative, no matter what the face.
Well, it is a white nationalist group.
Right. Huh?
It is a white nationalist group, though.
Yeah, it is that. It's very much that.
Yeah.
But I think that's foul messaging in that, not because it's white supremacy. I don't care nothing about that shit. It's just when you do that as a black person, as a white person, as a Mexican person, you limit your recruitment. You limit the people who will be willing to help you. So that's why I feel like you shouldn't really lead with that, because everybody has that same complaint. All the shit they seeing going on don't just affect white people. It affects everybody. So you want as many people on the team as possible, especially when you consider everything that's going on nowadays. That's the only area I disagree with them in. And for that reason, because like I said, everybody should have some type of racial identity and some type of, something as it pertains to your people. You should have some type of motivation to protect and to help your people first and foremost. I don't knock that messaging, but I do just feel it's stupid to recruit along those lines.
Yeah. You know, I don't really have a problem with white nationalism. In fact, I'm actually a fan of white nationalism. I like white nationalism. I've said this before, because it's, you know, you can't. In some ways, I guess you could say I'm a fan of this Patriot Front style thing, right? Because you can't say I'm all for black nationalism and organizing black, and then on the other hand say white people can't organize. I believe that the only way we're going to get anything in this world is if white men do organize, right? So, you know, I am a fan of white nationalism, and I think that fear of white nationalism will bring about war and destruction. But love of all types of nationalism, because if this was Asian nationalism, nobody would be scared. If this was Indian nationalism, nobody would be scared. But it's the image, you know, of. But, you know, my issue is the masks. I don't like the whole mask situation. You know, it's like, show your face. You know,
You know, the homie, I asked the homie about that because I feel the same way, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, the reason why some of that shit is necessary for them is because a lot of these fools want to maintain their livelihood.
No, I get that. But you can't do both. But you can't do both.
That's what I was saying. Like, yo, it's either an all in or nothing.
Yeah, you can't have step.
You either all in on this shit or you ain't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's counterproductive. You know, if you're saying you want to build America for white nationalists, your community should be organizing so that X individual won't be hurt by, you know, economic, complications, you know, losing his job for being associated, et cetera, right? And I think by wearing the masks, you know, and the shields and all of that, you make it so that you can't organize, right? You can't, you know, these people can't show their faces because of the way you organize, right? But if you're going to say, yo, I'm here for the European races, take the mask off and I'll stand with you. But when you got the mask on, that's what makes it look so suspect, man. And you don't want to show your face. You know, it's just like, nah, like go all in. Like, yo, this is me. I'm a real person. This is what I believe in. And you're not going to cancel me, and organize so that people don't have to be dependent on the system that you hate and worry about being canceled.
For sure. For sure. I mean, shit. It's, as far as like, you know, the nationalism, the white nationalists, black nationalists, doesn't matter the nationalists. The way I see it is, it's a necessary component because nationalism is a fairly complex issue.
Yeah.
And try and galvanize everybody under the same goddamn umbrella is unrealistic in its approach. You're never going to be able to do that effectively. But if you have all these nationalist groups that can galvanize small portions of people under the message and then find a network whereby which they can all kind of come together with their collective under one umbrella.
Yeah, I think the perfect thing to do would be have Patriot Front march with the Black Panther Party. That to me would be brilliant. Take the mask off and march with another nationalist organization to show that, look, you want black rights for black people, we want white nationalism for white people, and we stand with each other. This is what the Nazi Party did with Farrakhan, with the NOI, right? They marched together. They organized together. So if you're gonna do that, do it in a way that makes it make sense and it becomes sellable.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to do out here in Arizona right now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get a lot of these more sober-minded individuals, more reasonable individuals, because I deal with a whole range.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get some of the more reasonable individuals from various groupings, you know, from the from the essays onto the white boys, onto the Native Americans, all of us.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get us all kind of centralized under one concept.
Yeah.
And then once I'm able to do that and find reliable individuals who are willing to network on that level,
Mm-hmm.
then we'll be taking this act on the road to places like D.C.
Okay. I like that. I like that. Yo, let me get some more callers, man. I appreciate the call in, bro.
All right, man. You take it easy.
All right, Hotep and Bill. Yeah, the Pooh Shiesty mask. Like, that's the only thing that's got me like, this looks suspect, bro. Hit the like button. We haven't passed 300 likes yet, 200 likes. Hit the like button, jig the algo. I'm not, the mask is what got me like, y'all trying to look like KKK, and it just screams coward to me. It screams fed up. It's the mask I got a problem with, It just makes more room for suspicion, but it also seems to be like a really good marketing tactic, right? Because with the mask on, everybody's like, oh my God, who is that? So it's sort of a double-edged sword there.
Call from
Rudy the Vet.
Rudy the Vet, who's on the line? What up, bro? Talk to me, man.
Hey, what's up, HJ? With all due respect to your last caller,
yeah,
the feds go marching 2 by 2, hoorah, hoorah. The feds go marching 2 by 2, hoorah, hoorah. The feds go marching 2 by 2 to pull the psyop on all of you. The feds go marching 2 by 2, hoorah.
Hoorah.
Listen, man. Listen, man. All respect to that guy. I've been 10 years in behind bars. Not one, 2 different states.
Okay.
Not one tattoo on any of those guys, man. Not a hand tattoo, not an arm tattoo.
Oh, that's a good point.
Replay. Oh, come on, man. I know Aryans, seen Aryans, been around Aryans, locked up twice. They're all tatted up, man. Not one tattoo on those. And this is Washington, D.C., the city that voted 98% Democrat, that's controlled by the liberals, controlled by the left, and no counter-protest at all. What you're looking at right there is the FBI class. And I'm going to tell you what this, the FBI's new security class. Look at them. Let's put them all out there, man. Because Biden's going to go out and give this big speech about white supremacy, and then they're going to show that on mainstream media. White supremacy, and then you can have all the Mark Dices and the Ben Shapiro's like, oh, listen to Biden, listen to him, man. He's not unifying the country, and they're going to throw that out there, and then MSNBC is going to run this. Well, look at what happened in D.C. this weekend, with no counter protest. Those guys marched through Washington D.C. with no counter. Get them, man.
With the police escort,
bro. When they got knocked off in Iowa, supposedly, remember, they knocked off the Patriot Front, 30 of them in the back of a U-Haul going to protest a tranny show for kids.
Yeah.
And they were all stretched out with their hands behind their back. When have you ever seen the police rip a bunch of people out the back of a van, handcuff them behind their backs, stand there, let the media, and none of the faces were uncovered, man. They were all with their little masks on.
Yeah, all
while
arrested,
you're being detained by law enforcement, and they're going to let you keep your mask on again? Man, bro, this is a psyop, man. 100% psyop. 100% psyop.
Well,
and the way go for it, brother. Go for it.
I mean, well, 2 things I just want to weigh in on because, we got to keep it funky on this channel. One, there are guys who have long sleeves on. So granted, the long sleeves could mean I have tattoos, right?
Right.
Okay. And then you have the situation with the guys in handcuffs. I'm not a cop, so I don't know. Maybe that's not a thing when you take off their mask, but I can say it is a bit suspicious, but I can't say that it would be protocol to unmask somebody while they're being detained.
HJ, man, they're not going to rip a bunch of people out of the back of a supposedly going to start some shit out of transgender and rip them out the back and let them all sit there with their masks on. They're going to take their faces off so they can identify them.
That's true. That's true that you probably would want to identify them, yeah.
Law enforcement's not going to sit there and let them dudes keep their face covered, man. They were real, and it was really happening. Yeah. Every one of them dudes' faces, and when they were arrested out of that U-Haul truck in Iowa, would have been exposed.
Yeah.
Hands down, period, exposed. But, you know, as far as, listen, man, I don't care about white nationalists. I don't care about black nationalists. I'm all for black people saying, let's be better for black people. I'm all about white people saying, stop the white hate and the white guilt, and let's keep up with good. I just hate when they fight each other behind the skin color, man. The racism aspect of both of it is it's meaningless.
Yeah.
It gets us nowhere, man.
Yeah.
It gets us nowhere. It gets us nowhere, man. And I was gonna dig in on something you said earlier, man. But now that whole conversation with dude, like, I respect what dude's saying, you know what I'm saying? But you know, there was a couple with sleeves on. I didn't even see a hand tattoo, not one tattoo in that crowd. You know, and with the way they scrub the internet and social media of everything, how are these people, you know, allowed to have that? Allowed to have their website and their social media? Come on, man.
Yeah.
With all the censorship, and if white nationalism was really the problem, oh man, this is just more of the divide and conquer, man. It's right in your face, man. It's perfect. Joe Biden sat at a college commencement where, well, you need to get a college education to make it in America. And then you're at a HBCU, and all these black folks made it out of wherever they made it from, and they're right there on the cusp of getting the American dream. You got your diploma, and you're all not gonna do shit because white people are out there, man. That shit is divide and conquer.
Yeah.
Divide and conquer.
It's spreading hate and fear.
Man, 100%. Oh! I know I was gonna talk to you. So I called you a while ago. I said, man, I'm thinking about putting a run in for Congress.
Uh-oh.
So, all right. So I live in the North Carolina 3rd District, right?
Okay. So
before the midterm, they had the Republican primaries. Okay. So I went to the meeting. They had 302 people. The first time they ever had that many people at the meeting in the last 10 years. 302 people. There was 3 candidates running for the Republican primary. One of them was sharp as hell. The other one was a self-made construction man. So, like, I was like, this guy gets in, he's just going to grease his pockets. And then there was the eventual candidate, Sandy Smith, who never even showed up. Never even showed up to the meeting. All right.
She was the incumbent?
No, she was the one. She was the one with all the signs, and you would ride up and down the road, and you'd see her bus everywhere.
Okay, I got you.
And she had so she's the one that old Cocaine Mitch and Kevin McCarthy threw all the money behind.
Okay, that's the one they threw the money behind,
She doesn't even have to show up to a whole entire county to speak. The other 2 guys showed up and gave their little speech.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but she didn't have to.
Up, but yet she ends up winning the primary for our county.
Yeah.
She wins the vote.
This is what I was talking about before. Yeah.
So I call Dan Bishop down in North Carolina 8, and I'm like, hey, man, I'm looking for a little guidance, man. I'm trying to put my name in the hat. And they're like, you got to talk to your county officials. You got to talk to your county. We can't help you at all. And I'm just like, wow. I'm like, you guys are Freedom Caucus, though, right? And I explained to them what happened last time. I was like, the lady they threw their weight behind. I was like, why would I even talk to these county people, man? All they're going to do is throw their weight behind whoever Kevin McCarthy throws his weight behind. They're Republicans, man. I'm like, Dan Bishop's not your traditional Republican.
Right.
Like your Freedom Caucus, trying to get a little guidance.
Yeah.
Nope, can't help you, man. Call your locals. Well, I'll never get around the local block. You know what I'm saying? You can see. That's why they lose, man. That's why they lose. That's why the Republicans suck.
So you're looking to run?
That's why I want to. Yeah, I want to. Yeah, damn right.
Rudy the Vet Russo for office, y'all.
Yeah.
Let us know where to donate.
Dude, I told you, bro. I told you. You know the first place I'm going? Because they redistrict us and put Greenville and Greensboro into our district because they're black communities and college towns. And that's the first place I'm going, man. The first place I'm going.
Yeah, that's what. So tell me about the redistricting and who's in these districts and what's going on with that. Because that's what Sonny Johnson talks about a lot.
Right. Well, we were the North Carolina 1, which was like Outer Banks, Kitty Hawk, and all of that. We were part of that, right? Well, they cut a nice little gaping hole in it, wrapped up Greensboro and Greensville, and brought it back up to the border of Virginia, and made that North Carolina 3 when the Democrat governor redistricted. He gerrymandered it, so they can get a Democrat in.
So, but you said that's the black college areas, right?
Right. Well, I mean, Greenville is college area in Greensboro is a higher percent African American than you know what I'm saying, the rest of the district.
I got you.
But they knew what they were doing, man. So we had a county fair. The Democrat never even showed up. They had a table. They rented a table and put some pamphlets out. But the Republicans at least had some Republican Party people there to talk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I lit them a new one, man. My wife walked away. She was like, man, I can't believe you. She's like, why do you argue with these people? I'm like, because they got to hear it. Because I told them, y'all got to hear it. I was like, you got to suck. Yeah, I walked right up, was like, yo, you got to suck at messaging, dude. I was like, how did y'all back that lady, man? She didn't even show up to the meeting. And my wife just walked away. She's like, and then about 20 minutes later, I come around the corner. I was like, I had to tear him a new one, babe. She's like, I don't even know how you waste your time. But, I mean,
Rudy cares, man. He really cares.
Man, I do, man, because, man, I love America, man. I love America, man. And I don't love the government. I love the people and the principles, man.
Yeah.
The people and the principles.
I love the money,
That's it.
but that's about it. And the people. I love the money and the people.
Listen, the money, like, Hotep Jesus, I'm going to be honest with you, man. I was sitting on millions of dollars, and life was rough. I ain't got it like I used to have it. I mean, they took everything from me when they locked me up. They took everything from me. But I'm a lot happier. I came home, you know, the stress of running all that weed across the country.
Yeah.
You know, it was tough, man. It was tough.
Mm-hmm.
It was tough. But at least Ralph Northam gave me my rights back, so I'm strapped again. So everything's good, man.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
But look, man, I'm just telling you. To that last caller, brother, I understand where you're coming from. It's a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
But this is 100% psyop, man. There's no way that thing walked around, those people walked around D.C. like that without, in the most liberal city in America, with no counter protest and no nothing, man.
Yeah.
100% psyop, brother. 100%.
Yeah, I appreciate the calling as usual, Rudy.
Anytime, brother. Hotep and build, man.
Hotep and build. Rudy the Vet Russo, y'all, on the check-in. I think the truth is somewhere between Rudy and Hotep Goldstein. And I appreciate Hotep Goldstein's take, right? Because I never want to just be like, hey, this is what this is, right? I always want to hear all sides. And Hotep Goldstein, you know, come to me and saying, hey, don't just label it the Fed op, you know, da-da-da-da. I like that. I love hearing these contradictory takes, right? Although I still think there's a huge Fed presence within that organization. And honestly, if you're going to start an organization like that, you have to know you're going to be infiltrated by the Feds. You have to know. And I want you guys, if you're in Patriot Front, I want you to look at the brother next to you, your European, Nordic, or whatever the shit you guys call each other. Look at the person next to you and just go, he might be a Fed.
Call from
Patriot Front.
Patriot Front on the line. What up, Jonah?
What's good?
What's good, man? Talk to me,
you know
man.
this guy, Merrick Garland, right?
Yeah.
So you know what his big case was, right?
No.
The big case that he made his name on. Tim McVeigh, which was also directly tied to Patriot Conspiracy, PacCon. Kind of funny that Patriot Front comes up all of a sudden when he's the Attorney General, right? But
I knew you'd have a take like that. So what is Patriot Front? You think Patriot Front's a Fred up?
Now, how much do you know about Charlottesville? Because with the Charlottesville,
just tell us. Assume I know nothing, and just tell us what it is.
That group that was there for the Charlottesville event, PBS investigated, and they found a bunch of PMCs, military contractors like Lockheed and Raytheon and shit that were involved.
Okay.
So that was that group, and then this group is allegedly tied to Azov too, with the other group. I think it's RAM or ARM, one of the two.
Okay.
That were tied to Azov that were at Charlottesville.
Okay.
And then Azov is obviously being CIA trained, so.
Yeah. So I guess you believe. So do you think that Patriot Front starts off organically and then gets co-op later on, or was it an op from the beginning?
I would say it's the guy that they say is the leader is just some nerd. So he looks like he was originally or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then they probably had some private military contractors who were able to get in. Get enough people all around through it.
I got you.
You got to remember too, when you say Fed, right?
Yeah, when you say Fed, go ahead.
When you say Fed, it doesn't mean that they're actually federal agents. They could be private contractors.
Ah, I get you.
Yeah,
I get you.
Just like, actually, I won't go into that. That's a whole other story.
Hey, man, that's powerful. So you're saying that it starts off with this nerd that starts the group, and then military contractor plants himself next to him and helps him grow it.
Yeah, like there's some like little nerd who's allegedly the leader of the whole thing.
Okay.
Out of Texas. But again, too, I just find it funny that we can definitely tie Merrick Garland to PacCon. And here's the other thing. I put it on your timeline. You know, during PacCon, they actually had spy satellites over Oklahoma. Really? And it's confirmed by Secret Service documents involved with the event in Oklahoma.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. Jonah on the check-in. Y'all, appreciate you for calling in and clearing things up, man.
Yeah. Like I say, the fact that it is a Patriot Conspiracy, now it's Patriot Front, sounds like, they don't even have good writers. Hey, the writers are on strike right now in Hollywood, right? I mean, hey, maybe that's the problem.
The Hollywood writers on strike, so we getting reruns. Oh, man. Yeah, I appreciate you calling in. Let me get to the next caller, bro. You hot. Hotep and Bill. Oh, man, yo. You know you're going to get a good conspiracy when Jonah calls in. Speaking of Patriots, make sure you go out and get my document, my white paper on central banking, the Patriot Report, Unmasking the Conspiracy of Money and War, available on HotepJesus.com or Amazon. If you really want to know, you really want to become a based individual, you need this document in your life.
Call from
Mo Facts.
Mo Facts on the line. Mo, man, lay it on me, man. Pause.
I want to start with going back a little bit with the gender war clip that you played.
Okay.
And I just want to ask a question.
Yeah.
Why is it that the polygamy lifestyle is not adopted into the polyamory lifestyle and not covered by the LGBT rainbow flag?
Exactly. That's exactly what I was alluding to. Why is it this is okay, but that's not okay? It's a wonderful question. That's what I'd like to know. You know why? Because one of them has a man at the head of it.
Correct. I was rhetorically asking, but you hit it right on the head.
I know it was a rhetorical question. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna lead in from there to why a significant portion of Republicans don't want the black vote.
Okay, let's talk about it.
They don't want the black vote because it's bad math for them. They're looking at it as we're already taking in the Hispanic vote because, they're coming over where I think like 36, 60, 40, 70, 30 split.
Yeah.
That's weakening their vote, the white vote in the Republican Party. Then you have the orange vote that they got to contend with, the MAGA crowd.
Mm-hmm.
And now you want to bring the black vote in here. We'll just turn it to the Democratic Party of a party of coalitions. They don't want that.
Wait.
It's very clear. They do not want a diversity of people because then you become a party of special interest and not a party of principles that they claim to be now.
So what vote do they want?
The white American vote that supports the real white supremacy, which is intellectual, scientific racism.
Explain that part now.
Because at the end of the day, there's a large, on both sides of the political spectrum, we're the smartest people. We know what's best. Trust the science. Trust the politics. Trust the policies. Trust us. We're smarter than you. That's what real white supremacy is all about. It's not these weirdos in the streets with masks and pooh shiesty mask on and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's not that. It's that when we sit down, we can argue and we can debate, but we go out to dinner with each other. It's the establishment. It's the deep state. It's the whatever, the pro-war party. All of this. And as long as you're on board with that, even with immigration, as long as you're bringing, and it's best, look at the people that bring it here. They're not bringing the best and the brightest. They're bringing illiterate people in their own language here. So you're automatically going to be under us. You're going to stay under us.
So that goes back to, one of the theories I had before was they want a homogenous mind. They don't want a diverse mind, right? Which is coming back to, they don't want all these different groups of nationalisms, or as you call it, like special interests. They want a hive mind because it's easy to infiltrate. And that seems like what you're saying here is that by having all these different types of groups, it doesn't allow them to control one mind. So they want one particular mind because that mind is easier to control. But when you have black folks come in or Hispanic folks come in or another special interest group, it becomes too much to manage and your agenda becomes compromised. Is that pretty much what you're saying?
That's 100% is what I'm saying. And I'm glad I articulated in a way that it was clear to you.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I can be a little cumbersome, but that's exactly what it is. And notice this has nothing to do with color as long as you have the mindset. If you have the mindset where the law enforcement officer is always right, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Our foreign policy is always right.
Yeah.
Whatever we do, business is always right. Capitalism is always right. You're good.
Yes.
And that's why you can see certain commentators that are of other colors put that conservative tag on and speak to the talking points, and they're fine with it. Notice the Republican Party have no problem even with black leadership. Some of the top names on the conservative side are black people. Tim Scott, what's the other brother name? You know what I'm saying?
Byron Donald, Candace Owens.
Yes. As long as
but they're in lockstep with the messaging.
Exactly. That's what we want. We don't want, if you're coming over here, you have our mindset. If you don't, stay over there. We don't want your vote because, and I understand it politically because I like politics for not the governance part of it, but winning an election. That's what I like the sport of it.
Yeah.
And they're looking at like, if we start having all these special interests, now we just become the Democratic Party. Why we want to have that headache? We're the counter punching party. You go woke, we go anti-woke. You go this, we go anti that. And that's why the Republican and conservatives always want half a step behind. It's because they're counter punching, and it's easy. It's easy that way.
So somebody in chat, Brian Nichols, says he disagrees with the caller. He says Republicans openly court diversity. How do you respond to that?
Well, that's why I said a significant. I didn't say all. I said it's a significant portion of the Republican Party, and this is what I'm talking about. Even in the party itself, it's causing a fission because they're saying half is like the Matt Walsh is like, we don't need the black vote. They should be thankful enough that we brought them here and let them stay here after slavery.
Right.
Where you have other people saying, we might need to look at reparations or, special, catering to the needs of black people, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's undermining the whole point of conservatism. It's like we are and I wouldn't use the word hive mind because it has a negative connotation to it.
Yeah.
I would say their own code. They have a code they stick to. We're pro code. And if you're not with the code, then you're not invited. We're not going to overextend ourselves to come and help you. Even though they could win races in Chicago or wherever if they did the outreach.
And I think, to make things clear to the people listening, I think you're talking about Con Inc., right? The establishment, and not necessarily your rank and file Republican, their rhetoric, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, because you see, and then their tentacles start reaching to the independent side with Daily Mail and that kind of thing.
And just to reiterate, when you were talking about color, you did mention the split between the red and the orange being MAGA, right? And them saying we don't even want this MAGA rhetoric within our messaging. You know, we want this Con Inc. messaging. So it's not like they're saying, hey, you know, we don't want the black vote. It's like, no, even the MAGA messaging misses the mark on what our goals are. So MAGA is alienated by Con Inc. as well.
That is correct. And the establishment Republicans say we want a George Bush, but we'll live with Obama over a Trump. Because when you really look at Obama and Trump, I mean, when you look at Obama and Bush, there's no difference.
Wow. Yeah.
There's really no difference. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so that's what I mean by we got to be careful with these groups. And I'm not going to top you line too long, but I'm going to finalize with the whole point with the what's the group, Patriot Front, whole thing. This even within the white quote unquote nationals, they can't agree, because what happened was after Charlottesville, it was called American Vanguard. It was one group, and they showed Charlottesville. After how that whole thing played out, it caused a separation between the two groups, one being the Patriot Front, other being the National Socialist Legion.
Okay.
And they couldn't agree. And what they started doing was doxing each other, getting each other fired, and working with the police officers and the FBI, telling on each other.
Okay.
This is how the feds get introduced.
Interesting. So tell us about Patriot Front. What's your take on Patriot Front? Are they an organic group? Are they fed? Are they infiltrated? What's your take on the Patriot Front?
They are the fed and the led.
Oh.
You know?
Continue. Explain that.
So you only need one quote unquote fed to lead a bunch of wignats. And I don't know if you're familiar with that term, wignats, but this is not my term, but I pay attention to the whole spectrum of the conservative media. And wignat stands for Wigger Nationalist. So we know what a Wigger is. It's not in the context of race. They're saying you're playing nationalist. You like to go out with your shields, with your insignias on it, after, you know what I'm saying, after you get off work on the weekend. You like to march up and down, the street. You're cosplaying, which is fine. But then you get a fed to get in with the lead, the wignat, and send them on a dummy mission. They're crash dummies.
Yeah.
We see this in the black community all the time. You got one smart person that can get a whole bunch of other people to crash out for the cause, whether it's the red rag or the blue rag, you know what I'm saying, O Block, 63rd, 64th, 67th, you know what I'm saying, these kind of things.
Okay.
So it's the same thing. You have one fed come in, which they called on each other. I'm quoting, it's an article from The Week talking about the split and why they're seen as AstroTurf.
Yeah.
So they come in, they have a beef with each other, they start reporting on each other. The fans will come, hey, come, work with us. That kind of, what I'm saying, work with us kind of thing. And we need you to be here, we need you to be there. And I think that's why you see the mask, because these people have reputable jobs.
Right.
And they want to keep those jobs, but they also want to participate in the cosplay.
Yeah. So
and
what
they're
is
useful idiots?
So what is the correct play for Patriot Front? Should they exist? Should they not exist? Should they take the masks off? Is there a better way than these demonstrations? What is the correct play for a quote unquote white nationalist?
Well, they got to be smarter, because you got to understand you're being used as optics the same way. And the reason why I tap in this, I know I just did a pivot there, because we've seen this with the Black Panthers.
Yes.
They wanted to bring about gun control. So let's give a bunch of black people guns to stand outside the California State House. That'll really shake things up. Ronald Reagan, George Bush, which, Ronald Reagan's whole 8 years was really George Bush's 8 years. Let's just keep it 100.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that let's give them the guns, scare people. And I don't think the Panthers realized they were being utilized as fear porn. The same way Patriot Front is being utilized as fear porn.
Powerful. Interesting. Damn. Fed in the leg.
So I'm going to go back full loop here for a second, and this is why they won't let polygamy be in polyamory.
Okay.
Because you can't have men in the rainbow, with power in the Rainbow Coalition. So they would rather say we'll sacrifice that alternative lifestyle to hold our feminine-led order over here in the LGBT.
Right.
It's the same thing. It's all about establishment in all these groups and everything I've talked about. You have the establishment. They recognize and realize who their real opponents are, and then eliminate them in the womb.
Right.
That's the whole point.
Yep. Yo, more facts, y'all. Yeah, I appreciate you calling in, bro. If you want to call back in, you got more to say, let me know. We right here, baby.
I will. Hey, keep cooking, Mo. Hotep.
Hotep and Bill. Woo! Mo Facts came in with the flamethrower. Some good takes. He has some good takes, man. He has some good takes. You know, he said you only need one Fed. I can't say I disagree with that. You know, that's what I've seen. You know, you see it in all the movies, all the documentaries about how movements are infiltrated. It only takes one Fed. Just be that one, you know, and it'd be the most trusted one. What was the name of that movie? That Spike Lee movie that was about the Fed. Let me see here. I watched this on a plane, on a flight. Inside Man. I watched this. Is this it? No, this isn't it. Well, no, that's not it. Hold on, we got another caller.
Call from
Shannon.
Shannon, you on the line with Hotep Jesus? Talk to me, love.
Hey, Hotep. I agree with the previous callers in certain ways and disagree in other ways. I think our problem is nationalism. It could be a really great thing if we could stop subjectifying the groups by colors and realize we all have more in common than we do not in common. Our betters or the establishment or whatever you want to call them have always used divide and conquer tactics. And by us all fighting amongst ourselves, saying this one's the right group, that's the wrong group, this is what we should, we don't realize that we outnumber them hundreds, thousands to one. That with if you go back to the Bacon Rebellion, that was the first time they realized, oh shit, we're outnumbered.
Yes,
and
that was in the early days. That's early America.
Early. We're going all the way back because that tactic has rang true all the way through. They said, oh crap, they outnumber us thousands to one. How do we keep them down? Well, it is fighting amongst ourselves. I know people of all different races and political affiliation, and everyone's pretty much bitching about the same thing, but they just think that their flag is the right one. Republicans is the way. Democrat is the way. They keep us fighting amongst ourselves, the betters, they consider themselves, the rich, the powerful, all of those people keep us fighting amongst ourselves, so we don't realize we truly have the power, we have the numbers, and we're all sick and tired of their crap. But if they can keep us fighting amongst race, sexual preference, all of those things, they can keep us down and make themselves richer and us poor.
Yeah. Yep. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Go off.
Well, it's so sad that you see all of these people, we fight amongst ourselves over which exact little thing is right when we don't realize that all pieces of all of it has a piece that's right.
Yeah.
But they keep us fighting amongst ourselves so they can enrich themselves and dissolve the middle class. That's what they're doing. My husband and I are he's a hard collar, white or blue collar working class. I'm a stay-at-home mom, and I can see my savings keep depleting. Where 10, 15 years ago, we could get by. But now every month is a struggle, and everyone is in the same boat unless you are a rich elitist who makes their money off the backs of us, hardworking class people.
Yeah, I'm struggling over here. You're absolutely right. I did an audit on my life. I lose money every single month. Every month I'm in the red.
Too.
I'm not making money.
And I would love to give money to people like you and other people that preach the truth and try to get people on board. I can't afford it. I can barely feed my 3 kids.
I know.
Where 10, 15 years ago, we could get by much more comfortably, put some money in savings. But every year, it just gets harder and harder for the working class to succeed as they have us fighting amongst ourselves saying this one's right and that one's wrong.
Yeah. Hey, sound call, Shannon. I just want to say I wish you all the best. I'm hoping for a good economic turnaround so we can get back to be able to afford our eggs and our milk and our gas, et cetera, et cetera. But hang in there, and we're with you.
Amen. Get some chickens. They're not only fun, but they produce some really great products for you.
It's part of the plan.
But thank you so much for trying to bring people together. I think that your way of doing it to inflame things, to bring things to light, is a really effective way.
Oh, absolutely, man. Hotep and Bill.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, I looked at my bank account and did an audit of my finances because I try to do that, almost quarterly. And I looked and I'm like, yo, I'm hemorrhaging money. But mostly because I'm like dumping money into things to get out of the hole, right? To make money. So I'm not in the red. So I'm hemorrhaging like crazy over here. And it's really scary, to be honest with you. It's really scary to see your bank account and know that every month you're losing money and you're not actually making money. Like money's coming in, but it's going out at a higher rate than it's coming in. And mostly because the only way to beat the rat race is to reinvest in yourself. So, I feel it, man. We're just not making money out here. America's terrible.
Call from
Kevin.
Kevin, you on the line with Hotep Jesus? What up, bro?
What's up, man?
What up?
So, I caught kind of just like the end of the stream, the last 2 callers, but it seems like we're talking about white nationalism.
Yeah.
Kind of. All right. So I think it's kind of dumb to just do it by race. Are you familiar with Thomas Sowell, Dr. Thomas Sowell?
I am.
Yeah. So he kind of goes way back to like before slavery was really like that deep. And there's always going to be like a bottom class. Not everybody is going to be the haves. There's always going to be some have-nots, right?
Yes.
And when you usually put people at the bottom, or people kind of put themselves there, there's some people that just don't want to do shit. There's some people that don't want an education, that don't want to, conform to societal rules. And what we do is we say like, well, today, no, you have to. We're going to include you even if you don't want to be included. Here, go to school, do this, do that. And these people don't want to do it. So then they bring everyone else down. It's like the crabs in the bucket. I don't think if this whole nation became white or whatever, that all of a sudden it would be a utopia and crime would be gone or whatever. There is nations that are pretty homogenous and nothing's a utopia,
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it would work. And also, I think that we need to go kind of back to like states having more rights, because this country is kind of too big. There's like, 330 million people?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you can control all those people unless it's like a communist Chinese type of a state where it's like control tyranny. We're just too big. Other countries in the UK, they're small. It's like in Europe, it's like instead of states, it's countries, right?
Yes.
So I think we're just too big.
That goes back to what I've said in the past, right? About people like to compare us to foreign countries when really these foreign countries can fit inside some of our states. And it's like, you can't compare us. You know, this American experiment is very different than anything on this planet because we're not a homogenous society. We're a melting pot of people. And like you said, we're many people. I think the current population is maybe 440 million. I think, let me see here. Let me see, American population. I should probably know this number by heart. And Brave is trash, obviously. Brave, you guys got to get your engineers together, bro. Google's kicking your ass. Oh, no, you had it right. 331 million. I'm sorry. So 331 million. But that, again, like you said, we got to follow the 10th Amendment. We got to keep the rights with the states. And it's really hard to manage that many people. And I think we do a very poor job at the federal level trying to manage all these things when really, you know, I believe the only role of a federal government is pretty much to keep the peace, a.k.a. military.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the Civil War or whatever really like wasn't about slavery. It was more about, you know, taking away the states' rights, making the federal government, you know, top dog, and making pretty much everybody kind of slaves in a way, you know?
Yeah.
I heard that it would have been cheaper to just like buy every slave than to just like have the Civil War. And it's like,
I believe that.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, and things were different back then. It's like the South kind of did their own thing. The North was different. You know, like you could escape the South, come to the North or whatever.
Yeah.
And, you know, and it's like if you look at the poor communities back then and the poor in like the Black community today, they participated in a lot of the same activities, being real like careless with their life, you know, doing duels over some words spoken to each other, you know, it wasn't even over crazy things, you know, killing a bunch of people over a stolen pig. It's like racing. They used to race the steamboats with passengers in them. Like they'd just be like going on a trip. They'd see another passenger steamboat and all the people would start shooting their guns, getting the captains to race each other.
Yeah.
And it's like, that kind of reminds me of like, you know, the Kia boys and stuff today, you know, it's like just when you're around that kind of environment and life isn't really held in the esteem that it should be held, you're careless with your life, and that's going to make you careless about other people's lives, you know?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
there's really no like, oh, if it's all white or if it's all black or if it's all this or if it's all that, everything's just going to be a utopia.
Yeah. Great points, man. Let me get to the next caller. I got some breaking news,
All right,
news here.
Hotep.
Yes, sir. We got some breaking news here. The Durham Report is out. We're going to cover this. Hold on. I'm going to put a pause on the phone calls real fast. The Durham Report. So according to the Durham Report, the plan by Hillary Clinton to create a false story linking Donald Trump to Russia was briefed in August of 2016 by CIA Director John Brennan to President Obama, VP Biden, Attorney General Loretta Lynch, and VIP Director Comey. Wow. Oh, my Lord. Let's take a look at this. Let's pull this up on the screen. Let's take a look. So let's see what this investigation says, this Durham Report. The office also considered as part of its investigation the government's handling of certain intelligence that it received during the summer of 2016. The intelligence concerned the purported approval by Hillary Clinton on July 26, 2016 of a proposal from one of her foreign policy advisors to vilify Donald Trump by stirring up a scandal claiming interference by Russian security services. We refer to that intelligence hereafter as the Clinton Plan intelligence. The Clinton Plan intelligence. DNI John Ratcliffe declassified the following information about the Clinton Plan intelligence in September 2020 and conveyed it to the Senate Judiciary Committee. In late July 2016, U.S. intelligence agencies obtained insight into Russian intelligence analysis, alleging that U.S. presidential candidate Hillary Clinton had approved a campaign plan to stir up a scandal against U.S. presidential candidate Donald Trump by tying him to Putin and the Russians' hacking of the Democratic National Committee. The IC does not know the accuracy of this allegation or the extent to which the Russian intelligence analysis may reflect exaggeration or fabrication. According to his handwritten notes, CIA Director Brennan subsequently briefed President Obama and other national security officials on the intelligence, including the alleged approval by Hillary Clinton on July 26, 2016, of a proposal from one of her foreign policy advisors to vilify Donald Trump by stirring up a scandal claiming interference by Russian security services. Continues here, intelligence to the office's inquiry. Before addressing the U.S. government's receipt and handling of the Clinton plan intelligence, we reiterate below the description that intelligence, as declassified by the DNI in a September 29, 2020 letter to Chairman Graham, Ratcliffe's letter stated in part as follows. In late July 2016, U.S. intelligence agencies obtained insight into Russian intelligence analysis alleging that U.S. presidential candidate Hillary Clinton had approved a campaign plan to stir up scandal against the U.S. presidential candidate Donald Trump by tying him to Putin and the Russians' hacking of the Democratic National Committee. As described herein, in a classified appendix, U.S. officials described the Clinton plan intelligence in various other ways in their official notes and documents. As described more fully in the classified appendix, there were specific indications and additional facts that heightened the potential relevance of this intelligence to the office's inquiry. White House briefing. On August 3rd, 2016, within days of receiving the Clinton plan intelligence, Director Brennan met with the president, vice president, and other senior administration officials, including but not limited to the Attorney General, who participated remotely, and the FBI director in the White House Situation Room to discuss Russian election interference efforts. According to Brennan's handwritten notes and his recollections from the meeting, he briefed on relevant intelligence known to date on Russian election interference, including the Clinton plan intelligence. Specifically, Director Brennan's declassified handwritten notes reflect that he briefed the meeting's participants regarding the alleged approval by Hillary Clinton on 26 July of a proposal from one of her campaign advisors to vilify Donald Trump by stirring up a scandal claiming interference by Russian security services. FBI awareness. The office was unable to determine precisely when the FBI first obtained any details of the Clinton plan intelligence other than Director Comey, who attended the August 3rd, 2016 briefing. We all know about the Comey scandal. It appears, however, that this occurred no later than August 22nd, 2016. On that date, an FBI cyber analysis emailed a number of FBI employees, including supervisory intelligence analyst Brian Alton and Section Chief Moffa, the most senior intelligence analysis on the Crossfire Hurricane team, to provide an update on Russian, interference. Let's dig into this, man. Oh, my Lord. So this was, Melissa Tate says here, flashback, never forget the fake media spent 3 years peddling Russian hoax that Durham is now confirming was 100% fake, as we all knew from day one. Enemies to the people. Durham Report finds FBI fail. Let's go to the CNN report.
Of the conclusions, now an investigation that's 4 years in the making, and we finally have the conclusions, more than 300 pages released by the Justice Department. Now it has now been transmitted to members of Congress, who also are going to want to bring John Durham in to review some of the findings. But the bottom line is this: the investigation found that the FBI failed in many, many ways, things that we already knew from a previous Inspector General report. And I'll read you just a part of it, of John Durham's conclusion. He says, based on the review of Crossfire Hurricane and related intelligence activities, we conclude that the department and the FBI failed to uphold their important mission of strict fidelity to the law in connection with certain events and activities described in this report. This is now an
hold on. We got some documents here. So we got Merrick Garland. So this is the whole report here you see on the screen. Let's look at the executive summary on page 7 first. I just want to see the executive summary for myself. Introduction. Let's see here. Page 7. Hold on. Almost there. The public record contains a substantial body of information relating to former President Trump and Trump's organization's relationship with Russian businesses, Russian business people, and Russian officials, as well as separate evidence of Russia's attempt to interfere in the 2016 presidential election. These and related subjects are well documented in the careful examinations undertaken. The scope of these earlier inquiries, the amount of important information. Okay, so our review and investigation in turn has focused on separate but related questions, including the following. Was there adequate predication for the FBI to open the Crossfire Hurricane investigation from its inception as a full counterintelligence and foreign agents? Was the opening of the full investigation consistent with how the FBI handled other intelligence? Did the FBI properly consider other highly significant intelligence it received, which related not to the Trump campaign, but rather to a purported Clinton campaign plan to vilify Donald Trump by stirring up a scandal claiming interference by Russian security services, which may have shed a light on some of the Russian information the FBI was receiving from third parties, including the Steele dossier, the Alpha Bank allegations, and confidential human source reporting? If not, were any provable federal crimes committed in failing to do so? Was there evidence that the actions of any FBI personnel or third parties relating to the investigation violated any federal criminal statutes, including prohibition against making false statements to federal officials? Was the evidence sufficient to promote guilt beyond a reasonable doubt? Was there evidence that the actions of the FBI or department personnel in providing false or incomplete information to the FISC violated any federal criminal statutes? Was there evidence sufficient to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt? All right, let's go back to the top. I want to see another section of the report. Hold on. This is dated May 12th, by the way, which would have been last Friday. Damn, they got a section on falsification of records. Wow. Page 38, obstruction of justice, violation of civil rights, conspiracy to violate, conspiracy to violate criminal rights. I want to go to that page. That's page 40. Hold on. Okay, I'm almost there. Conspiracy to violate civil rights. U.S. Code makes it a crime to conspire to deprive a person of his or her civil rights. The government first, the defendant entered into conspiracy to injure, oppress, threaten, or intimidate named victims. Second, okay, so this is just naming the, okay, so that's what that is. Hold on. So that's laying out the potential charges. Hold on. Background facts and prosecution decisions. Factual background. CIA referral and dissemination. Receipt of Clinton plan intelligence. Oh, man. The Steele dossier. BMU. Hold on. I'm just looking for the conclusion. That's what I'm looking for here. I want to read the conclusion and see what conclusion they came to, because there's a lot. This is 316 pages. Wow. Possible FBI reform. You know, if they're talking about FBI reform, this thing is a doozy. Observations. It might be in the observation section. Hold on. Let's go back to Twitter, because people have probably already gone through this, and we probably have all the best snippets on the TL. Hold on. Let's go back. Let's see, Jake Tapper here. Let's see what Jake Tapper says.
Regardless, the report is now here. It has dropped, and it might not have produced everything of what some Republicans hoped for. It is, regardless, devastating to the FBI, and to a degree, it does exonerate Donald Trump. Regardless.
Whoa, it does exonerate Donald Trump. Bro. Everybody that said it was a Russian psyop, you have failed your country, you have failed yourself. I'm going to get to the super chats. I ain't forget y'all. Durham Report, according to his handwritten note, CIA director Brennan subsequently briefed President. Yeah, we saw that. Yeah. We saw Greg Price's tweet. Yeah, Durham releases final report, concludes FBI opened Trump probe despite no verified intel. So this is pretty much what it looks like here, if I'm understanding this correctly, all contrived by Hillary and her team. This is basically election tactics, right? Smear campaign, yellow journalism. Man. Let's see what Fox says.
Confirming that the Durham Report will be released in full at 4 p.m. More on that as we get it. So that news breaks.
Yeah, we got it. Breaking, Special Prosecutor John Durham concluded that neither U.S. nor intelligence community appears to have possessed any actual evidence of collusion in their holdings of the commencement of the Crossfire Hurricane investigation. Damn. Monday. What a Monday. It's grifting season, y'all. It's officially grifting season. And the people are winning. This guy says Mueller investigation, no Russian collusion. Senate investigation, no Russian collusion. Durham Report, no Russian collusion. Media, Russia, Russia, Russia. Trump and conservatives are Putin puppets. Oh, politics is dirty, man. That's why I won't enter into it. I refuse to let them just, make up stuff about me just because I'm dangerous. That's exactly why I won't do it. This is just dirty, man. Absolutely dirty work here. And you'll go and tell somebody, like I'm thinking, I have a face in mind of somebody who told me that there was Russian collusion. This is a normal individual. And if I go back to them and be like, hey, did you see the Durham Report? They're going to tell me the Durham Report's bullshit. They're going to tell me that, what they previously said was true. There's no hope for these people. No hope for these people. They're going to believe, whatever it is they want to believe. The truth is just, means nothing. So basically, this is an exoneration. Scott Horton says this is all a very nice way of saying the CIA and DOJ framed a major party presidential candidate, then nominee, then president-elect, then president of the United States of America for treason with the Kremlin of all goddamn things. Yeah, that's the one thing about this report. The report isn't like so damning. I mean, it is if you got a brain, right? But it doesn't come out and say, hey, the Clintons did something wrong. It's just basically saying, Trump's exonerated. But it pretty much shows that there was a concerted effort with no intelligence to discredit, slander, vilify my president, Donald J. Trump. No verified intel. When CNN got to say it, it's real. When CNN forced to say Trump's exonerated, it's real. They hated saying it. Donald Trump tweets, reports on Truth Social. Wow. After extensive research, Special Counsel John Durham concludes the FBI never should have launched the Trump-Russia probe. In other words, the American public was scammed just as it is being scammed right now by those who don't want to see greatness for America. And that was our tax money, by the way, that went into that. They wasted our tax money, Hillary and them. Hillary's a wicked woman, bro. That's one wicked woman. Yo, where's that? I know exactly how to respond to this. Hold on. And I'm gonna share my tweet on the screen in just a moment. But we're gonna have to hold on. We're gonna have to pull this up. Hold on. And then I'm gonna show you exactly how I'm responding to this Durham Report. Wait a second. Okay, why? Yo, what the fuck? Wait a second. Why is the Durham Report no longer trending? Yo, it was just here trending #1. Mueller's trending. But the Durham Report's not trending? Why? It was just trending. Yo, Elon, what's going on, bro? I just saw it sitting here trending. How does it go from #1 to disappear? How do you go from #1 to just disappear? What? What's going on up there, man? I know you ain't got that WEF lady starting already. I know she ain't started already. How does something go from #1 trend? This is ugly. Oh, man. Hold on, I'm typing my tweet right now. Hold on, give me a second. And then I'm going to share it with you. All right, almost done. This is wild. There we go. All right, let's go here. I had to pull this up. This is classic video clip here that is relevant now more than ever. I said the Durham Report exonerates my president, Donald J. Trump. These are the people who voted for Jim Crow Joe, who believed the hoax. And you see this. Look at them. Look at these fools. Look at them. They got the mask on. Dancing for Biden.
Call from
Jonah.
What up, Jonah? What's on your mind, man?
Yo, check the DM I just sent you. That's what when you said trending wasn't showing the Durham Report.
Yeah.
Mine literally said nothing to see here yet.
Oh snap! I see it. I see it. That's
crazy.
wild. That's absolutely wild. Did you see it was trending #1 and now it's disappeared?
No, I'm working, so I wasn't paying attention. But then when you said it was disappeared, I just went to check mine.
Yeah.
And it literally says nothing to see here. How is that possible?
What'd you type in?
No, that's just on trending. It says nothing to see here.
Oh, when you hit the trend?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Anyways, I thought you'd enjoy that.
Ah, man, I appreciate it, man. Come on, bro. You mean to tell me that shit disappeared from the trending topics? What's going on with Elon's Twitter? Chat, talk to me. Do y'all believe that it would disappear that fast? R.I.P. Cure Hip Hop. The number is gone too? You said Durham doesn't even pop up when I type it in after the... All right, so we're going to try this live. Hold on. Told y'all can't trust Elon, man. I tried to tell y'all, man. But I'm sure there's some logical explanation for this, right? Hold on. Let me make sure y'all can see me typing. Yo.
Call from
Rudy the Vet.
Rudy, what's up, bro?
Yeah, I hate to double dip, man, but
what happened?
This Durham Report, man, it's everything we already knew, man.
Yes.
Everything we already knew. And then I heard some analysis, man, like everything is all right here. They dropped it 7 years after it was all started. The statute of limitations is up on all of it. No one's getting burned. Comey, Brennan, Clinton, Mueller. It's all part of they bought all this shit and divided, lost friends, lost family members, divided the fucking country like never before. And nobody's getting in trouble for it, man.
No.
Nobody.
No.
Nobody.
No.
They're not paying at the ballot box. They're not paying, period, man. These motherfuckers, man. These motherfuckers, man. You see what I'm... God damn, people, wake up, man. Wake up. There you have a primary. You have some asshole like me in your next primary. Vote that dude in because he's not part of the stupid machine, man. That's Sean Hannity. That's why I always say he's such an asshole. Her name was Carol Barnett, man. Carol Barnett. Strong black woman. Strong conservative values.
Mm-hmm.
Grew up on a pig farm in Alabama. Mm-hmm. Was gaining such ground in Pennsylvania. Was going to Black Lives Matter rallies. Preaching a conservative message to black folks in Pennsylvania. They caught video footage of it. The son of a bitch Hannity, part of the machine, who wears a CIA pin and always says, well, it's not the rank and file of these institutions. They're good people. No, it's the rank and fucking file. It's the whole goddamn thing, man. The whole goddamn thing, man. That cocksucker Hannity. Ran that lady's name through the mud. She would have beat Fetterman, and she tried to talk to Trump, and that son of a bitch didn't even put his fucking weight behind Oz, man. And she's a MAGA, she's a America First candidate, a real conservative. Because true conservatives, like the Freedom Caucus, aren't true Republicans, man. They're not real Republicans, man. Conning is not Republican, man. I mean, Conning is not conservative, man. They're mainstream establishment Republicans, man. And Candace Owens, when she was the red pill black, she might have been something. But the minute Mr. Shapiro got his little meat hook in her, she ain't shit no more either, man. That's why she was scared to debate Sonny. That's why she was scared to debate Sonny, because the meat hook got put in her, man. This shit makes me so mad, man.
We're still waiting on Vivek.
Country through the mud, man.
We're still waiting on Vivek to talk to Sonny Johnson, too.
Hey, listen, man. Vivek's scared of her, dude.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I'd vote for him, but remember what I told you a while ago, man? Trump, DeSantis is out. That dude passed laws where you can't even bash Jabari's people on pamphlets.
Yeah.
Come on, man. That's not free speech.
No,
because when Laura Loomer, bless her heart, is a Jew, and she's like, this is bullshit, and I'm a Jew.
Yeah. Yeah,
She
that's true.
exposed it. She's like, you can't even say nothing.
That's true.
I mean, he's a Zionist pimp, dude. He went to Harvard. The next president, come on, man. Any Harvard, Yale, any of that Ivy League bullshit, man, if you vote for them, you're an idiot, man, because they've been sitting around for years just picking their place, talking about how they're going to fuck the sheeple, man. Tighten up, America. I'm out, man. Hotep and build, man.
Hotep and build, man. Dang, y'all got Rudy fired up out here, man. Jesus. Oh, my Lord. Whew. The MoFac says the Durham Report drop is working as planned. Outrage. Yeah. Yeah, it's that's the double side of the grift. That's the double side of the grift. I'm going to dip my hand into that cookie jar, though. I'm dipping my hand into that grift cookie jar, though. God got to get me some of that engagement. I need some of that engagement, Mo. I'm sorry. I might double dip too. We're going to be talking about it tonight. Me and Uncle Hotep for our Patreon show, patreon.com/Hotep's Been Told You. We'll be talking about this and more. Right around 10 p.m. we start recording, and it goes up after 11 p.m. Eastern time. So me and Uncle Hotep will weigh in on this tonight. If you guys don't want to wait until Wednesday's show, etc., etc. And man, I'm just, my big thing is, not that the Durham Report has dropped, but the fact that it's just disappeared from the trends that fast. Okay, Russian collusion's moving up now. Trump and Russia is moving. But the fact that this stuff, the fact that many people won't acknowledge this is kind of wild.
Call from
Kyle.
Kyle, what's up, man? Talk to me, bro.
Yo, man. I give some advice to your guy Rudy there. He's got to get out of this Republican Party. I called in a while ago, and he told me about talked about the you got to start with them because you got to go with they have the infrastructure bill.
Yeah.
But to me, the infrastructure now is I know you say you don't want to get involved, but you're kind of you're the infrastructure. Joe Rogan, these independent media sources are the new infrastructure to me. All right.
Yeah.
So.
But we're talking about on the ground, right? We're talking about infrastructure on the ground. Well, online is one thing, but
you definitely need to be on the ground too. And like I said, I think it's good for him to go to those meetings and get in those people's faces, because you got to try to turn some people.
That's different from running, right? Like when I said it, I might not have been specific, but I meant like specifically running. I definitely want to be involved.
That's what I mean. Oh yeah. I mean, for your point, I get that you want to be involved.
Yeah.
You want to be involved culturally, right? You want to build for yourself, and you want to be involved. You always say what culture is, or politics is downstream from culture.
Politics downstream from culture, yeah.
Right, and I kind of get this. To me, part of me feels like that's kind of backwards. That gets into the top, because the whole idea is that there should be. You guys were talking about this earlier, the homogenized thinking and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
When politics is I guess when culture is influencing politics, you're contributing to that homogenized mindset, right? That's what's to me. You have to disassociate culture and some of these cultural. That's why I called a couple times, and people get me so mad about how their own little specific issues that they have, which I want them to fight those issues in their communities and in their circles. Like people mix up this federal and state kind of scope, right? The scope of what their job is. Kind of like what you said earlier. The federal government's main job should be national defense. It should be controlling our border, controlling our people from foreign enemies, right? And some, internal domestic enemies too, right? But that should be their main job, is protecting some of those main natural rights, the right to life, right to liberty. And for the most part, all these other cultural things should be left to most of the states.
The culture should be left to the states?
States and local communities and all. It's far down to the local communities.
But the people create culture.
Right.
So that's really on the people.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It should be. That's what I'm saying. It should be more knocked down to the states, and from the states, hopefully your state is.
Well, when we say politics is downstream from culture, we're basically saying that if we can change the culture, we can change the politics.
But what culture do you want to change? Which part of the culture do you want to change? There's different kinds of culture, right?
Let's pick one. Family. What does your family look like? Does somebody have two biological males called mom, or are we talking about the nuclear family? Like these things. This is the culture, right? So when we talk about it specifically with the Republican Party, what happens is the Republican Party does a great job of, trying to own the left and basically you know, making people like Dylan Mulvaney famous. Whereas, you know, who's the nuclear family that they've made famous? Name one.
I agree. I agree with you.
So that's what we're saying, right? It's like it's more about like owning the left as opposed to doubling down on your principles and talking about, you know, who are we going to make famous?
But should the federal government be taking on that issue of the family in general?
Again, you just missed my point, right? I said the government is not their job to handle culture. It's up to the people. So, you know, specifically, like you said, me and Joe Rogan were part of that infrastructure, right? So we're talking about, you know, who is your, you know, local influencer, you know, your favorite influencers, you know, what are they doing to sort of push the message out there of, you know, what society should look like, right? And that's really what we're talking about for the Republican Party. You know, what does that look like? And we're not seeing that from the influencer class, you know, who, you know, they've made Dylan Mulvaney famous. They've made Kyle Rittenhouse famous. They're making Daniel Penny famous. But who is the conservative family that they've made famous, right? What
You mean the Republican Party themselves?
Oh my God.
Whoa. Sorry, man. I was just trying to understand you. Whoa.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about the influencer class, the people.
I would say that I don't know that I don't know that the people are the ones that are influencing that culture. I think that a lot of that is influenced by the federal government. A lot of that is the ESG. Like they're the ones that are controlling the money, right?
No. The people that dictate the culture are Universal, Warner Brothers, Sony. These people dictate culture. It's not the federal government that dictates culture. Warner,
but you don't think,
Sony.
You don't think that those companies are? I guess I get into these arguments with people all the time too. Sorry to get too kind of deep on it, but you know what? The chicken. It's kind of like the chicken and the egg thing, right? Like which one? Who's controlling who? Is the government controlling the private entities, or are the private entities controlling the government?
The private entities are controlling the government, and it's not a chicken or egg thing.
With me, the private entity can't control the government as much if the scope of their job is more intact, right? Or right now they have all these legal teams, right? They're spending all this money on because they have people confused, because that's why people can't get it. That's why people on the ground can't get in the first place. Like you said, they have the infrastructure built in the parties, and then they have the infrastructure built in the legal system, right? And people on the ground can't really get in. Am I making any sense right now? No?
Yeah.
So,
what?
To me, there's obviously there's this relationship between the two, right? There's certain private individuals or groups or entities that have influence over the control that the government, the power that the government has, right?
Yeah.
So the government has, really built into the U.S. code certain power, like taking taxes and things like this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then
when did that come about?
So they can start taking taxes?
Yeah.
The 16th Amendment, 1913 somewhere, or 1914.
Who created that?
I guess it was in under Wilson, right? I think there was some times before that.
Who planned it?
Who planned it?
Wilson put his signature on it. Who planned 1913?
Well, there's several people out there. There's like J.P. Morgan or
Exactly. Is J.P. Morgan private interest?
Yes.
Okay, so private interest drew up 1913, and the government just puts their stamp on it. That's the point I was trying to make.
Right. Yes, and I agree. Okay, so I agree with that. Obviously, at the end of the day, okay. So getting back to your point earlier, I guess it's individual people that are influencing this culture, right? But when I thought you were saying people, I think that you're talking about people like in your local communities, right? But I don't think your local communities are propping up the trans community or Dylan Mulvaney or some of these other things, right? That's being fed to them from the top down
by private
right?
corporations.
By private corporations in conjunction with the power of the government. Yeah, maybe they're wielding.
The government is much later. The government is much later, bro. It's private corporations. I just told you it's Universal, Warner, and Sony.
So this is the argument that people use. This is the argument that people use for socialism, right? That we need to take the power away from these corporations. Yeah.
Well,
if it's in the power, if the federal government has more power to control.
The issue is that when socialists make the argument that you want to take away power from the corporation, the way to do that is through government. So that's the psyop. That's the trick, right? So the trick is to say, hey, let's blame corporations. And in order to combat the corporations, we need government, right? So that's the trick. What we're saying is culture is created by private entities. We do not want government to curtail private corporations. What we want to say is we should create our private corporations to rival theirs. The issue is they've become too big to fail, and they're so big that they influence government, which creates regulation, so that now it's harder for me to create a private corporation to rival their corporation because of the regulation that they created.
Right. So the only way to fix it is to roll that regulation back, right?
Correct.
So I get what you're saying. Like if you're going back all the way to the beginning, but we're in the situation that we're in now. So the culture that needs to be changed, the culture on the national level that needs to be changed is different than the culture that needs to be changed at the family or nuclear or individual level.
It's all the same.
Because different communities are going to be different. There's different communities that are going to want to just live. They're going to not necessarily
but we're talking about on a national level here now. We're not talking about local. We're talking about on a national level. You started this phone call. You said me and Joe Rogan are part of that infrastructure. There are other people that are part of that infrastructure, particularly online. So that's the people that are going to be driving culture and what that looks like, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what we're talking about here.
Right. That's what I mean.
But it's incumbent upon us at the national level. It's incumbent upon you. For example, when you have your favorite influencer and they're out here and they're pumping Dylan Mulvaney 24/7, are you hitting the retweet button? Because if you are, you're feeding into the garbage.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not hitting a lot of retweets or likes on anything for the most part because I don't trust. I don't know who to trust and who to like and who's influenced by what for the most part. So I take in what I take in, and I try not to feed into that because most of the stuff that's on social media, most of the stuff that's out there, people are putting out to get clicks and to sell ad space and to do all this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So how do I know who's genuine and who's not?
Yeah.
Just because, and that's just because someone's not genuine doesn't mean they're not right.
Yeah.
And just because someone's genuine doesn't mean they are right.
Yeah.
You know, so to me, that's the whole influence nationally that people need to be. People need to decouple themselves from, people talk about national divorce, right? People need to get away from having their national figures, their national politicians be the guiding thing for their life. The guiding thing for your life should be the people that are around you in your community, right? If you don't like those people, you go live with someone else, or you go live on your own. There's all kinds of people that live all kinds of different ways.
Yeah. Let me get to some more callers, bro. I appreciate the call in, man.
All right, dude. Take it easy.
We're gonna get back to the super chats. P-Dub Design says, like big tobacco, we see left brainwashing children to destroy us from within. Looking back, I learned I can get one burger today if I pay 2 burgers tomorrow from Popeye cartoon. You know, Big Tobacco is another, no, not too Big Tobacco, Big Chemical is another example of private interests controlling government. We saw that with the outlawing, Mo Facts, man, pray for me, bro. You know, outlawing hemp. And that's what we're talking about here. Daniel Hawk says, Patriot Front has no fatties. Obviously, they are a fake Fed group. They do look to be in shape, but it's one of their tenets to be in shape, so who knows? Steph Colonel, he says, or planned.
Call from.
Sorry.
Yo, you on the line with Hotep. What up, bro?
Yo. Well, I wanted to talk about something else, but then the last caller had me thinking.
Okay.
It's always it tend to be like that. It seemed like he was missing the idea that you know, you got to build up the culture to get that policy that you want.
Right.
Like it's just purely culture, but you gotta build up that culture to get the people in there. You know, when the left talk about you know, long march to the institutions, that take a long time because they had to fill up them institutions with their people.
Right.
And they had to get the culture to get all them people in there.
Yep.
So that takes time, and that's what you gotta work towards that culture. You can't be, like you said, you can't be pushing the Dylan Mulvaney and stuff. I mean, you gotta, like, honestly, you gotta be pushing the Scott Presslers and all them kind of people. You know, the people that's actually trying to build that culture to actually get the results you want. You know, as much as I'm kind of tired of all these people talking about DeSantis. You know, they right when they talk about, you know, he putting that policy in Florida.
Yeah.
Like he is doing the policy work that they want, and you know, Michael Knowles say the opposite of, you know, politics is downstream from culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
He say culture can be downstream from politics too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you do have those people in them positions already, right, use them wisely.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all I wanted to say there. You know.
No, that's a good point. That's a good point, man.
You got to put the right people in there.
Yeah, I mean, you know, just real quick, if culture is downstream from politics, technically it means that politics is downstream from culture, because politics knows the only way to make anything happen is to move culture. So you're still saying politics is downstream from culture.
Exactly. It's all connected.
Yeah.
Whether the river is upstream or downstream, it's like, you know.
It all comes down to the culture of the people. You know, and that's what the lady was talking about before, the Bacon Rebellion. You know, culture was different back then. You know, your local politician did something crazy, they had tar and feather. That was their culture, right? So, you know, nowadays the culture is sit on your ass and watch TV, so you're not going to really have too many things moving in this country. You know, so again, it's like, you know, the culture is really going to dictate which way to go. And another example is, you know, how to incarcerate, particularly men, black men. You know, what do they do before they put Cosby, R. Kelly, or Tory Lanez behind bars? They get the culture to cancel them first, right? Once the culture cancels you, then you get locked up. So they go for the culture first.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what you talking about with that defamation before.
Yep.
They put your name in the dirt before they put you in the dirt.
Yep. That's exactly it. Hey, man, I appreciate the call, bro.
All right, man. Hotep and Bill.
Hotep and Bill. Phone lines is closed, man. Phone lines closed. Hey, I tried my best not to hang up on anybody today. I tried my absolute best. Thank you to my Rumblers. We didn't get any super chats on Rumble, I don't think. I just want to make sure I didn't miss any, because I know. Oh, yeah, I did miss one. Okay, Jimmy Das. It's hard to vote for an ideology that isn't present. In Georgia, the GOP shut down outreach. I guarantee they didn't shut down in McConnell, Graham, or McCarthy districts. The establishment doesn't care. That goes back to what we were saying before. Rumble's got to do an update where you can see the super chats, even if it gets lost in the chat, because I had to scroll up to make sure I didn't miss any. And yeah. All right, so make sure y'all hit the like button on the way out. We'll be back here tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern time. We're here Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern time. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful day. And I'm about to get back to the Grift. And Hotep Jesus.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
And I'll see y'all next time. Don't forget to hit the link in the description box below for 30% off your Master Focus subscription right now.
Didn't listen to me then, I bet they feel me now. Time don't let me lose it. The booth not about to prove it. I set goals and pursue it. You the best to never do it. Invest my money, talking fluent, stupid, ducking the Judas. It broke my heart, but open my eyes. You have no honor, I have no choice. Chasing the commas till I'm gone. I've been left for a minute. On my way home, mama, I promise, got caught up in it. Damn. Everybody eats when I'm batting at the plate. First, second, third, home, $1 million